Welcome back, Captain. How can I be of assistance? Certainly, Captain. I was hoping you would ask.
It was the law-forsaken parasites. I had become obsessed. My quest to stop them. To avenge my partner, Philip. And my ex-partner, Bernice. And Lieutenant Jurgen. And those two informants had brought me to Rizzo's distillery. But it wasn't just the triple distilled deliciousness of Rizzo's Spectrum brand vodka that I found there. It was death. I made sure the Brain Eaters paid the price. But at what cost to me? It's you.
This is the Halcyon News Network with breaking news. Halcyon Helen has been murdered. Administrator Ludovico of Rizzo's refused to answer the big question on everyone's mind. Who will Spectrum Vodka's next spokesperson be? Claiming that a special investigation must be concluded first.
Captain, we have a communication coming in from one Administrator Ludovico.
Get off the transmission, Cedric. We agreed to let me do the negotiating. Law be with you, friend. I am Administrator Ludovico of the famed Eridanos Atmospheric Complex. But there's no need to stand on formality. You may address me as Mr. Halcyon Helen is dead. Murdered. Her death is the tragedy of our lifetime. As the face of our new product line, her murder is a stain on the Rizzo's brand. She was scheduled to unveil our newest product, Spectrum Brown, before this tragic event. But we cannot move forward with our unveiling until we apprehend the killer. You can't be serious. Halcyon Helen, greatest cultural icon of our colony, Empress of the Aether Waves.
All right, Ludovico, that's enough. You don't know what you're doing. Let me handle this. Captain Hawthorne, so glad to finally have a word with you. I would have been so disappointed if Ludovico monopolized your attention. Cedric Kincannon, Sublight Underground. I'm so glad we're hiring a third-party investigator. No one wants to see a troop of UDL guards stomping all over my hotel. Least of all me. The murder of Halcyon Helen is a heinous assault on this colony. I look forward to watching you find the miscreant responsible and drag them out of the shadows. Don't worry. You and I are going to become very close acquaintances. I run the Grand Colonial Hotel and Perea Spaceport. Ludovico and I are business partners, in a manner of speaking. Eridanos is our shared responsibility.
Eridanos is not our shared responsibility. Eridanos is my responsibility, to which you and your organization have latched on like a parasite.
Ludovico, you wound me. I'm establishing rapport with our new contractor. Let's not give him the impression that you can't be trusted.
Do you really want to do this right now, Cedric? You want to antagonize me while I'm negotiating a contract. Because I promise you, I'll win.
Yes, exactly. Thank you. Honest to law, how hard is it to hire a freelancer? Apologies, Mr. Ludovico. That was inappropriate of me. Captain, I'm Constable Maria Keene. Hiring a third-party investigator was my idea. I've been studying your dossier. You are an extraordinary scientist. If your talents extend to forensics, then you may be exactly what we need. As far as I'm concerned, you're the ideal inspector for this case. I hate to admit it, but I'm a little out of my depth here. I'm used to dealing with rowdy VIPs from Byzantium, not murder. Please, Captain, I'm asking you to help us. While you're pursuing your investigation, we'll make you a guest of honor at the Grand Colonial.
The future of our complex may depend on your success. I'll leave you in the constable's care. Mr. Kincannon and I must have a word.
Fine. Bud Rizzo's is paying for that hotel room.
I can't tell you how grateful I am for your help. And even though they may not show their gratitude, I know Administrator Ludovico and Mr. Kincannon appreciate your involvement. Mr. Kincannon could lose his spaceport if board authorities took over the investigation, and if Rizzo's is forced to cancel its unveiling, we might never recover. I represent the law, Captain, but what's happening between Mr. Kincannon and the Administrator is politics. Politics are not my area of expertise. The law is simple. Politics are complicated. Me? Worn out? Perish the notion. My days are filled with catering to the oh-so-reasonable requests of Mr. Ludovico and Mr. Kincannon. What's not to like? Your words, not mine. Please don't take my lack of disagreement as anything other than fatigue. I am a content, productive, and happy member of our society. The Administrator oversees Rizzo's operations. Cedric runs the hotel and the spaceport. They're always at each other's throats. My life would be so much easier if they'd simply learned to work together. I'm pleased to hear that. From everything I've heard, you're a competent freelancer. And at the risk of sounding impertinent, we desperately need the help of someone competent. Thank you for your time, Captain. Whenever you're ready, I've authorized the Unreliable to land at the Grand Colonial.
Transmission terminated. Captain, we are now cleared to land at the Eridanos atmospheric complex. Eridanos is a hydrogen-helium gas giant, distinguished by a well-defined ring system. The Eridanos atmospheric complex is a system of land masses propelled through a thin layer of the upper atmosphere, where humans are potentially capable of surviving. There are several reasons why someone would hire your services. In descending order of likelihood, they are as follows: desperation, confusion, mistaken identity, inebriation, and genuine faith in your abilities.
Oh, Captain, it's beautiful up here. Could we get more jobs like this one?
Hello there. Hope your atmospheric entry wasn't too troublesome. As a guest of honor, you deserve the best in comfort. Sublight Salvage and Shipping Underground, or Slug, as we like to call ourselves, is delighted to welcome you to Eridanos. I'm the Grand Colonial Head Bellhop. I'm here to grab your bags and direct you, the Inspector, to the Grand Ballroom, which was the scene of the crime. I'll say. There's nary a soul here who wasn't a fan of hers in some respect. Just about everybody's shocked. Some people are inconsolable. Hell, even Black Hole Birdie, Helen's beau, has wandered off. Some folks think he had something to do with the murder, but I don't believe it.
I still don't understand why anyone would have it in for Ms. Helen.
The fans were very upset by the weak plot contrivances in her latest offering, though that hardly seems a worthy motive.
Folks get heated when it comes to serials and their actors, I suppose. Not particularly. But I think some folks were jealous of her success, or otherwise viewed her as a threat. Reckon how she came about her fame didn't help. Why, she was a natural. People fell in love with her. She managed to wrangle up a following all on her own. She ended up about as famous and high-runged as your average VP, which rubbed a lot of Byzantines the wrong way. Actors ain't supposed to get preferential treatment. I imagine the admin briefed you about Helen's part in the Spectrum Brown unveiling. Too bad about the postponement. Not so terrible as Helen's murder, but still a crying shame. You bet it was. Rizzo's rented out the ballroom in the hotel just for the launch event. Reckoned it was gonna be a real swell affair. Rizzo's ain't unveiled the product since the debut of Spectrum Ultraviolet. Invisible to the naked eye, and as it happened, prone to causing massive internal bleeding. Anyway, I think I've held you up long enough. Once you're ready, head down to the lobby. The ballroom is just behind the elevators. Meanwhile, I'll grab your bags. You're making fun, right? Your luggage, belongings, kit, wherever you keep what you ain't wearing. You're still giving me a pretty blank look. Suppose it's none of my business, but do you just wear the same set of clothes all the time? Well, reckon I can respect your candor, even if it scares me a smidge. Anyhow, I'll look for you in the grand ballroom later. Hope you can unravel this mystery, Inspector.
This is the hotel? I only ever seen a place like this in periodicals. Or that one episode of Agent Khan.
So much opulence, while most of Halcyon suffers.
I'm sorry, sir, but while the hotel is an active crime scene, I regret to inform you that all new bookings, room upgrades, room downgrades, and in-room massages are Oh, you're the special inspector. Mr. Kincannon warned me you'd be checking in soon. Why, you? Oh, Mr. Kincannon. He runs all sublet underground operations in the Eridanos atmospheric complex, including the Grand Colonial Hotel. But he keeps his office down in the warehouse district, near the docks. If you should require to meet with him in person, you're most likely to find him there. While you're here, Inspector, could I set you up with a room? Oh, the ballroom's right behind the tower elevators. Swing a left or a right, then cut through the crowd of spectators. You can't miss it.
The crime scene's awaiting, Inspector. Can't believe something like this could happen in my hotel. When I found her, I was just hoping she had a little too much to drink, but all the grievous bodily injury adds up, I suppose. Hey, Byzantines and restraint aren't two words that often go together. Wouldn't be the first blood-soaked, unconscious party-goer I've come across. Anyway, I'm sure you've got questions. Everyone's got theories. I don't reckon mine hold much more weight than anyone else's. Of course I did. I just told you I found the body. Oh, wait. You mean when she was still breathing? No, of course I didn't. Plus, it's untoward for an employee to speculate about the actions of a hotel guest. Not that I saw any hotel guests interacting with her. Honestly, you're more than a little right. I've been burning at the britches to share my theories. Day of her death, I saw Helen leave the hotel premises with the profit of profitability, and didn't see her come back. A little on the suspicious side, I think. Seemed especially strange, seeing how, as far as I was aware, the two didn't get on. Or as I can recall, Helen dismissed the ladies' seminars in some kind of interview. Said her co-star used them, but she didn't. The top rungers are always ready to read between the lines of famous folks and seem to think the profit was on her way out. Woman lost a ton of bits and is set to lose more. Yep. Gives seminars on increasing profit margins and the like. Can't say much else, seeing how I ain't in the gossip market. I hope all that helped. I'd like to be as useful as I can in the investigation. I just didn't want to steer anyone the wrong way. Sure, I'd taken to checking the ballroom every few hours prior to the unveiling. Just to make sure no sprats had snuck into the place. You understand. Found her right before I was set to head back to my room in the lower levels for my mandated 5-hour sleep period. Tell ya, thank the law for caffeinoid. Been too upset to get a wink of sleep since. And hey, now I can finally see smells. Beats all hell out of me. Maybe she was, practicing for the unveiling? What? No! Just 'cause I found the corpse doesn't mean I made her a corpse. I was in shift all day. Besides, I loved Helen serials. Well, the old ones anyway. The newer episodes are hot junk on a warm day. Sure? What's on your mind?
Black Hole Bertie's disappeared, you know. The poor fellow must be inconsolable.
Oh, thank the law. Inspector, you don't know how relieved I am to see you. Constable Maria Keene. It's good to meet you in person, Inspector.
Dr. Goodnight. Ecstatic to make your various acquaintances and so on? Are we finished with the pleasantries? There's something I'm excited to show you. An extraordinary contraption. You'll love it.
Our coroner has developed a device which may prove useful in your investigation. Our office has instructed her to hand it over to you.
Our office has instructed her to hand it over to you. Oh, please. You make it sound as if I'm turning over stolen goods. Behold, my discrepancy amplifier. Hold it in your hands. Feel the way it hums with ontological potential. You're rather sharp in your upper story. I can see why you're the inspector. The discrepancy amplifier uses a deterministic model of our universe to detect the discrepancy between what should be and what actually is. Then it renders any discrepancies visible by using the power of magnification.
That sounds strangely like scientism. Expecting the doctrine of the OSI to have any bearing on reality is quite an assumption.
Oh, goodness, no. I don't care for OSI doctrine. I just enjoy their math. Go on then. Give it a try. Just treat the amplifier as you would a weapon. Hold it good and steady and look down scope.
I'm contractually prohibited from endorsing off-brand technology, but I'll bend that rule just this once. You'll want to peer into the amplifier and examine the crime scene.
Would he teach him to respect the dead? Oh gosh, is that Miss Helen? Can we see?
Timeline discrepant.
Take a look at the crime scene. I'll stay out of your way until you're done.
Go on, Inspector. Give the amplifier a try. The discrepancy amplifier is designed to be held in your hand and maneuvered about, not unlike a small arms weapon. Peer through the looking glass and aim the amplifier about. Examine the crime scene. Find a discrepancy and make a deduction. Simplicity itself. Ah, I was waiting for this. Yes, of course. I'm only too eager to cooperate. My goodness, I must have died and ascended to the architect's plane. I never imagined I'd meet someone courteous and well-mannered in this hotel. I'd be more than happy to banter with you after I finish my autopsy. Until then, shall we talk about the body? Our leading lady must have riled up someone. Her wounds from cranium to metatarsal are as follows. A blow to the head, severe enough to lacerate the flesh, followed by a suite of plasma burns down the neck and back, signs of poisoning, evidence of inanition and desiccation, possible signs of jaundice, some shingles, one malformed toenail. That's good advice. I'll just strike out malformed toenail as a possible cause of death. The short version is this. Helen was killed by poison, a blow to the head, and a plasma weapon. Possibly more. I am, of course, at your service. Oh, why, I'm flattered, Inspector. Let me think. I've worked at the Grand Colonial for about as long as it's been around. Prior to that, I lived in Byzantium, but I always felt like it was missing something. And that something turned out to be corpses. Byzantium has much in the way of luxury, but examining the dead does not rank amongst the preferred activities of the elite. It's not necessarily that I dislike it, just that I think the day-in, day-out flow of luxury gets old. Leisure's worth its salt, of course, but sometimes you need to get a little corpse blood on your hands to remember why life's worth living. Absolutely. Usually I'm just a medical practitioner, so I almost never get to deal with anything as unique, or as quiet, as a corpse. The most interesting thing I saw prior to this was the back of Mr. Woolrich's throat after he blew out his vocal cords shouting at an attendant. If I weren't here, I'd be back in my quarters, rewatching Byzantium in the spring, or working on my automatic sprat peeler. Oh, good. One of my favorite subjects. Ask away, my dear. Ask away. I still have the blueprint and several extra prototypes floating around, but I might recommend you try to be careful with it. Some of the amplifier's internal components are rare, shall we say, and I don't have an indefinite supply. Because you're the inspector. I should think that's rather obvious. I invented the discrepancy amplifier to assist me in my own medical work. When you were hired to investigate Helen's death, I realized I had my own part to play. I programmed the amplifier to assist you. I'm entrusting it to your care because I want to see my invention help a brilliant inspector solve the murder of the century. You don't miss a thing, do you, Inspector? I can see why the constable recommended hiring you. Think of the amplifier as my gift to you. May it avail you in the swift and efficient prosecution of justice. I didn't expect an existentialist question so early today. It's a need. just as sprats feel they must breed, or canids feel they must brutally maul each other. I feel the need to create. You're smarter than I look. Guess there's no shame in telling you exactly what it is you're using, seeing how you're so curious. As it so happened, my husband was mortally wounded in a marauder raid about a year ago. Wasn't going to live more than a few hours. I happened to have an excess of preservative fluids, a scanning device in need of a central processor, and a sudden burst of inspiration. A tragedy doesn't mean you can't be proactive. Technically, it wasn't his whole brain, just a small cross-section, enough to operate the amplifier. But giving the amplifier to you is better than letting it rot in a closet somewhere. Besides, my husband was the prior constable. He would have wanted his brain used for the pursuit of justice. You sure you don't want to know anything else? Oh, all right. We can change the subject.
Take a look at the crime scene. I'll stay out of your way until you're done.
The discrepancy amplifier is now operational. Greetings, designated inspector and/or unauthorized larcenist. This unit has detected a discrepancy related to Halcyon Helen. Unscheduled expiration of. Begin amplification. The discrepancy amplifier has been programmed with advanced speech recognition, scientific analysis, and deterministic calculus protocols.
Oh, you'll love this. Amplifier, tell the inspector about your features.
Please do not interrupt the discrepancy amplifier. The discrepancy amplifier is programmed to take instruction from its registered or designated inspector.
How curious. I must have set its impertinence levels to flagrant.
This unit's features include an automated personality simulator. This unit has been programmed to simulate joy and satisfaction in assisting you. This is a bottle of unreleased Rizzo's product. Helen appears to have attempted to use it to spell something as she expired, but all she managed was a sticky bee. Rizzo's Spectrum Brown has not yet been released for consumption. Spectrum Brown was scheduled to be unveiled at the Eridanos Atmosphere Complex in partnership with Halcyon Helen. This hypothesis is plausible, but requires additional information. Now calculating likelihood of Halcyon Helen using her final moments to endorse Rizzo's Spectrum Brown. Low to moderate likelihood.
Mr. Bertie Holcomb is indeed known to frequent places of leisure and hospitality, as rare as they are in Halcyon.
Correct. Bertie Blackhole Holcomb is a registered guest at the Grand Colonial Hotel. Accessing guest database B. The Grand Colonial Hotel is proud to serve the following VIPs. Bertie, Blackhole. Burbage 3001. This evidence has been recorded for later reference. Now generating pre-approved compliment. Splendid work, Inspector. This footprint stands out from the normally spotless floor of the Grand Ballroom. Typically, the ballroom is cleaned twice daily, which means this must have been made by either Helen or her assailant or assailants.
Communing with nature in your own distinct way, I see.
Footprint is a tailor-made 8.75, suggesting that its owner was very particular about their shoe size. It is also the exact size that Halcyon Helen typically prefers. There are traces of dirt throughout the footprint. Excellent observation, Inspector. The following compounds have been detected. nitrogen-rich fertilizer, common grass. Grass, fertilizer, and purpleberries can all be found in the purpleberry orchards, located not far from the Grand Colonio. This deduction appears sound.
Good work, Inspector. I had a feeling we'd make some progress once we brought you onto the case. You'll need Administrator Ludovico to grant you access to the orchards. Contact him through the secure access terminal in your penthouse suite. Check in with the concierge. Your room should be ready by now. If it isn't, I may have to go shake someone by the collar. Something I should know? I'm afraid I must decline. It isn't personal, Inspector. I'm just on duty right now. Talk to me later, after you've met with Administrator Ludovico. I'll make time to chat. Are you asking me these questions in an official capacity? I'm encouraged to know you're taking this job seriously. Please, ask your questions. Spencer Woolrich and Bertie Holcomb are officially persons of interest in this investigation. I've mostly ruled out Mr. Woolrich, leaving Bertie Holcomb as my lead suspect. Let me rephrase that. He's your lead suspect. I've been instructed to turn this case over to your capable hands, while I continue to serve as a consultant. Work is simple. People are complicated. The people involved in this murder are especially complicated. Mr. Woolrich was Halcyon Helen's professional rival. It's possible jealousy drove him to take Helen out of the picture. I apologize for the wordplay. Conversely, Mr. Bertie Holcomb was Helen's paramour. The relationship was reportedly dissolved. I can't rule out her murder as a crime of passion. Norval, head bellhop. He was understandably distraught. I believe his feelings were genuine. He's a remarkably poor actor. Hotel security corroborates his whereabouts during the murder. I haven't included him in my list of suspects, but neither am I convinced of his innocence. If there were any witnesses, none came forward. Ballroom cameras were also offline at the time of the murder. Helen was very particular about having cameras on her. Security footage would have constituted documentary filmmaking. Can't afford that. There's no sign of the murder weapon. Whatever it was that killed Helen, the killer took it with them. Frankly, I'm having trouble imagining exactly what it was that killed her. That sounds about right. You can understand why I'm having trouble picturing a murder weapon. Ask away. Woolrich thinks of himself as a serious and distinguished actor. He was frequently cast in demeaning roles, while Helen played the charismatic heroine. He has reason to be envious. I considered the possibility that Woolrich killed Helen in order to eliminate a rival and advance his own career. But my reasoning collapsed under closer scrutiny. Woolrich owes his career to Helen's dramas. Her death likely harms his long-term prospects. I'm struggling to determine a motivation for him, so I've largely ruled him out. Mr. Holcomb was in a romantic relationship with Helen. This alone is not enough to make him a lead suspect, but he does play tossball. Black Hole Birdie currently holds the record for most non-consecutive blows to the head. His tendency toward irrational and violent behavior is well documented. Please, ask your questions. Anything else?
The Grand Colonial Front Desk warmly welcomes you, Inspector. It's a pleasure to see you again. How may I be of assistance to you, Inspector? I'd love to, Inspector, but I don't really have the authority. Moreover, the guests were promised exclusivity. If I let you up there, I'll never hear the end of it. That's a good point. If they give me guff, I can just tell them that they're obstructing justice. That has a nice ring to it. Let me just set you up with VIP guest floor access. Done. You can now come and go as you please. Ah yes, we are most pleased to offer you our grandest of grand accommodations, Inspector. The penthouse suite on our topmost floor is now available for you. The last guest left her belongings behind when she vacated unexpectedly, so we needed a little time to tidy the suite up for you. Simply call the elevator in the lobby and our highly skilled operator will deliver you to your private floor with efficiency and cheer.
The imprint left inside this suitcase matches the silhouette of Halcyon Helen's iconic handgun, the Needler. The weapon was recently removed.
Where did we go wrong? Oh, Lo, I'm so sorry. That didn't mean for... Helen, I love you. I love you so much.
Inspector, I understand you've visited the scene of the crime. Halcyon Helen was an important cultural icon. She will be sorely missed. Halcyon Helen was more than a character. She was a brand. Her death will now be associated with Rizzo's Spectrum Brown. You understand why that worries me. I wish I had your blithe sense of optimism. Helen's death means delays. Delays mean expenses. Expenses mean audits. Audits mean people like me lose our jobs. Back to the matter at hand. Tell me about your investigation. Your discretion is appreciated. I admit, I'm beginning to feel more confident in this arrangement. Here, I'm granting you access through the gates to the orchards. You're officially authorized to see this investigation through to the end. There is one caveat. Cedric's being rather intransigent about letting you into the spaceport. Possibly he's trying to hide something. Possibly he wants to annoy me. Possibly both. You have a lead to chase. Law speed, Inspector.
Discrepancy detected. This bottle, recently discarded, contains residue from foreign substances. Chemical analysis complete. This unit has detected the following substances: oil, terroray, blood, terroray, unidentifiable biological fluids, terroray. Yes, Inspector. Logical analysis indicates these substances were not present in the bottle's original contents. These substances cause extreme gastrointestinal distress in humans. Large doses can be fatal. This bottle contained Rizzo's Spectrum vodka. The presence of terroray biological fluids may have significantly improved its flavor. Detected nearby. Multiple discrepancies detected. First discrepancy. A woolly cow is present in this hotel room. Woolly cows are an import species for the Wilderness Exploitation Reserve and are incapable of affording upper-class accommodations. Second discrepancy. This woolly cow is dangerously inebriated with Rizzo's Spectrum vodka. Alcohol sanguinization ratio exceeds recommended maximum. An accurate observation, Inspector. This woolly cow is suffering from symptoms consistent with a hangover. A brief survey of this area reveals that the most recent occupants were athletes belonging to the Rizzo's Rangers Tossball Club. Insufficient data. A Brief survey of localized property damage, divided by the area of this room, yields the following estimate. This unit was likely occupied by every member of the Rizzo's Rangers. -1. Timeline discrepancy detected nearby. The charred fragments of a letter lies at the bottom of this wastebasket. Your observation is correct and quite astute.
Station, meeting point, emergency. You think it's talking about the atmospheric station? Or maybe the pilot house? Could be anywhere.
Someone burned this letter shortly after Halcyon Helen's death. Timeline discrepancy detected nearby. A single footprint, size 10, tossball cleat-sized. The soil in this residue contains a very high concentration of oxygen. Well done, Inspector. The weather monitoring station at the pilot house substitutes for a terraformer. The soil in his footprint likely came from there. The barcode reveals it is host not only to alcohol, but a variety of other substances as well. Among the selection are adrenotime, pep pills, dervish mist, and many other narcotics with unrecognized chemical signatures. Chemical analysis confirms user comment. This news is unlikely to factor into the murder, however, due to frequency of Byzantine narcotic misuse. System error. By know how to party, did you mean die? Moralizing. It's not theft, it's object repositioning.
Helen's gone. Feels like it's going against the laws of nature somehow. I used to watch Helen's serials. She'd fall into mortal peril every couple episodes, but she always lived in the end. Breathtaking. Have you looked over the edge of the complex yet? Just watch the clouds turning? It's like an ocean without end. Eridanos and Olympus are the two biggest planets in Halcyon. King and Queen of the sky. Looking out to the horizon, I get this feeling that we're in the company of royalty. Eridanos is 100 times the mass of Terra 2, 800 times the volume, 10 times the diameter. We're flying through the tiniest layer of habitable atmosphere. Sometimes I can't believe how small my world used to be. My horizons were about as wide as the walls of Edgewater. Yeah. We've come a long way. Yeah? I mean, what do you need? Captain? Mr. Sir?
I welcome our opportunity to discover who killed Ms. Bellamy, but I fear the common serial theme of inspectors meting out justice is as flimsy as their unconvincing storylines. As always, I am at your disposal. Anything you'd like to discuss?
Well, 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 it's Rizzo's! Welcome to the Purpleberry Nut Hut, you wonderful, wonderful customer! Thank you for giving my humble existence value.
No one can give you value. It is yours intrinsically. You just need notice it. But you seem happy regardless.
I sure am! Good lamps you got on you to take notice. Oh, that? I call it my little passenger. I don't know why. The name just appeared in my head when this thing showed up on my neck. Couple of days. Ever since it showed up, I've been feeling happier and happier. I really can't imagine life without my little passenger. Don't you dare! Or I'll cut something off you! Gosh, I'm sorry. I don't know where that came from. I just felt this urge to protect my little passenger, even if it means hurting you. I don't know. It just appeared one day. I guess I just picked it up while working in the orchards. Sometimes I wonder how it showed up, and I start to worry. But worrying feels bad, and I hate feeling bad, so I don't worry about it. Now I'd love to get you something, maybe a couple somethings. Whatever you like, I can sell it to you at a low, low price. No, I'm sorry. The only celebrity who shopped recently is Black Hole Birdie. Quite the affable man, as it so happens. And the stories are wrong. He could probably lift 2 benches of tossball players at once, not just one. Laws, not just affable, but virile, too. Ooh, wait a minute. Now that his beau's dead, that means Birdie's single. Maybe I'll strike up a little more than conversation the next time he comes by. Oh my! Birdie, a murderer? Well, everyone has their flaws. I'll be sure not to bring it up on our first date. I'm so glad you asked. The orchards are my 3rd favorite subject, with my first being Rizzo's refreshing drinks and my second being Rizzo's toothsome confectionaries. Our orchards are the source of 63% of Rizzo's total produce, which correlates to 112% of fresh goods throughout all of Halcyon. Give or take a few percent, of course. If you want to know more about each part of the orchards, might I recommend one of our fantastic tours? One of our options is even audio-guided as a special bonus feature. Oh, I'm so glad you said that. Our tours are my 4th favorite subject. Every part of the orchards is so rich with Rizzo's lore. Buy a tour ticket and anoint yourself with knowledge. Huh? Oh no, Rizzo's doesn't make me recommend the tour. Helping customers just makes me even happier than I already am, and that's saying a lot. Happy workers lead to happy customers. Happy customers are repeat customers.
That smile's gonna haunt my nightmares.
I'm not quite sure what you mean. There's really nothing better than feeling a euphoric sense of happiness and self-contentment. Now, I'd be pleased as punch to sell you a tour ticket. We have 3 tour options: Premium, Premium Plus, and the Golden Ticket. Each option is wonderful in its own special way. Premium includes a 10-minute pass to the Sprat Petting Zoo. Premium Plus comes with the novelty Purpleberry and Amber, and the Golden Ticket is audio-guided in addition to being self-guided. Which kind would you like? You're in luck. We have 1 left. Normally they're 100 bits, but seeing how I'm sold out of everything else, I can give it to you for just 90. How does that sound? That's great. Thank you so much. Our alcohol stocks are larger than ever. And a good thing, too, because I just can't seem to stop myself from getting into them. Our products are just that good.
These footprints match the shoes previously analyzed in the Grand Ballroom. There is a 110% chance with a 10% margin of error that they were left by Ruth Bellamy, the actress known as Halcyon Helen.
You find anything? That's real good work, Captain. You think the killer was chasing Miss Helen through the orchards?
Well, sweet hello there, valued visitor. I am sure sorry to break it to you, but our orchards are closed to all officially guided tours at this precise moment in time.
There's obviously something very wrong with this individual. That smile is unsettling, to put it mildly.
Why, thank you! Rizzo's encourages all workers to put on a happy face when engaging with valued customers. Rizzo's does beseech you to please purchase one of our self-guided options if you're wishing to join one of our rejuvenative, relaxing, reformatory tours. Now with a Puzzle Hedges trademark maze hunt and special edition taste testing for an extra 35 bits a ticket. An excellent decision you most certainly won't have cause to regret. Now, presently, you're standing smack dab in the pride and joy of Rizzo's nearly natural product development sector. We call this fecund landscape the Purple Berry Orchards, since that's our main crop. But we also sow and grow mock apples, nanners, pea-free nuts, tarmac, and more. Of course, tours of any excess level must be suspended during a scheduled pollinization cycle. Our wasp-mosquitoes are quite territorial and have been known to sting both workers and visitors alike. Pollinization by killer wasp-mosquitoes, indeedy. It's cutting-edge Rizzo's technology. But don't you worry, valued visitor. Our pollinization cycles only run when the orchards are empty, for safety reasons. When a pollinization cycle finishes or is aborted, all wasp-mosquitoes are biologically programmed to return to the hive, their holding pen. Of course, the very last thing Rizzo's would want is a beloved tourist bumbling into the hive and triggering an unscheduled cycle. So you'd best steer clear of it for safety. You'll know the hive by its big, glimmering electric fencing. Yes, indeedy. I've got the wondrous honor of having just been promoted to third keeper of the grounds after the last one disappeared on the job. Gosh, I guess about a week ago now. Before my morning clock-in last Sunday, I was but a lowly nanner peeler picker on the line shift. Now I'm responsible for growing every twig and berry on this vast swath of fertile land. Heaven sweet, no. It's not like he was murdered. He simply disappeared without a trace and hasn't been heard from since. And the groundkeeper before that one? Well, she wasn't missing at all. Her body was found near hive control, covered head to toe in thousands of welts. No mystery, and certainly no murder with what happened there. I mean, you can't exactly hold some wasp-mosquitoes on trial. Accidents do happen on the job. Why would I? I am daily filled with bursting happiness by bringing to fruition my life's purpose. This job is a blessing. In fact, I can't say I've ever been merrier in my whole life. I reckon you could talk to my supervisor, the overseeing orchardist. He would know more. I used to ask questions, but gee, I just don't feel the urge to anymore. Gosh and goody gumdrops, but I could talk about the orchards till my lips fell off. Instead, let's talk about whatever interests you, because that's what interests me, too. Why, you say that as if it's a bad thing. I am quite overcome with happiness, indeed. You won't find a Rizzo's worker in all of Eridanos who isn't 100% thrilled in their day-to-day existence. It's part of our brand manifesto. Happy workers lead to happy customers. Happy customers are repeat customers. And repeat customers make the charts look better on our weekly profit reports. So if nothing else, it's my responsibility at all times to smile, smile, smile. And you know what never fails to bring a smile to my face? The breathtaking tours we offer throughout the orchards. Seasonally available for purchase in the Nut Hut. Ah, you mean that lovely actor who got herself dead? Damn shame what happened to her. She did come by, but not during any official tour time. I thought she'd hired a private tour at first, but it was Dr. Blossom who was showing her the way to the RR and DD labs. Can't imagine why she'd need to meet with our head researcher on the Spectrum product line outside of her lab hours. Unless, of course, it had to do with the new product unveiling. That's right. She was. She sure made for some lovely adverts. Maybe it might have involved an issue with the launch batch then? I can't rightly say. All I know is one of our certified tour guides could have given her a much more comprehensive tour of the grounds were that her interest. Can't say that I have. We use bad batches of liquor for our pesticides. Only the exterminator mechanicals are armed around here. And I haven't seen any bloody objects aside from the usual pair of gardening shears. Unless, that is, Miss Helen was also stung to death by pollinization mosquitoes? She wasn't, was she? That would be a mighty wretched way to go. Of course. What kind of investigation? You wouldn't happen to be from the health inspection office, would you? Oh, drat. This distresses me, and I do not like feeling cross. I warned the orchardist this could happen when we halted our monthly bribe to Slug. They were always a reliable go-between, regarding inspections before now. So, what might you be looking to find out, Mr. Inspector? Did he now? That sounds about right. He has been mightily outspoken in his disdain for Slug in recent months. The overseeing orchardist had the last groundskeeper deliver a contract termination in the place of our regular payment. Rizzo's decided we don't need their services anymore. See, with our new morale-boosting medical treatments, our employees are much more productive. No need for unsightly intimidation tactics. Sorry, I'm not at liberty to say. Trade secrets and all that. You understand, I'm sure. I do hope this pleasant conversation has made me useful to you. Rizzo's likes it when we're useful to customers, and I like anything Rizzo's likes. I can't stop you from poking around, but do be mindful of our pollinization hive. Mosquitoes tend towards aggressive at the best of times. There's a reason why we keep him behind an electric fence, you know.
Hey! Oh, wait. I'm supposed to say the slogan. Okay, you can do this, Anna. Here goes. It doesn't matter if you're you or me. We're all part of the Rizzo's family. How was that?
That was quite enthusiastic.
No jest? Well, that's a wager I sure would have lost. Guess even a busted spectrometer can be right if you hold it to the light, huh? I'm sure you've guessed it, but I'm not the best at remembering slogans. And when I can't remember them, I tend to just make them up. But I guess that's why I'm just an intern and not a full-timer. At least, not yet. Oh yes, I thought I saw someone who looked self-important enough to be her by the conservatory some time ago. Not to speak ill of the dead. I simply never liked the way she stole the limelight from the true star. Burbage 3001. I certainly am. That aerodynamic chassis, how the light glints off his rotund head, the way he enunciates, cry havoc, and let loose the canids of war. Excuse me, I got a little lightheaded there. Nobody does Shakespeare like Burbage. What were we talking about? Who? I suppose so. I also suppose Helen won't be stealing the limelight ever again. It's not so different from being a regular worker, just with less pay and less respect. Oh, it's also more dangerous than traditional employment. You don't have the experience to back up your work yet, but being fired isn't any less threatening. Work-wise, I do a bit of everything. The orchards have been short-staffed as long as I've been working here. So if there's an odd job around, it usually gets passed to me. Much higher chance of promotion. If I can tough it out here without getting axed, I can skip the 5+ years of customer service I'd normally have to deal with. I can prove my merit here and move up in the world. And the sooner I do that, the sooner I can set to improving things for everyone else. Mother did mention that from time to time, but she always kept me far away from her work. Who could complain about happier workers and higher profit gains? Much as I love delivering coffee and medical attention, not quite, no. Don't tell anyone I said this, but I sometimes feel that our workers could be treated a little better. Maybe only get electrocuted awake every other day? So I'm shooting for administration in Rizzo's. Maybe even the board itself. Best way to evoke change is from the inside, I think. Laws, you've got a sixth sense for finding the most embarrassing question, huh? My mother is the Rizzo's assistant vice president of flavor testing. She set me up with this position. Mostly to keep me from troubling her work, I think. Consequently, I don't always feel like I deserve to be here. All the more reason to work harder, I say. Happy to enlighten you on the fascinating world of internships. Let me know if there's anything I can help you with. Unless you already have, and I've forgotten. In which case, I probably won't forget a second time. What? No, that's ridiculous. I can't tell you I've never made any mistakes, but it'd be pretty hard to keep my job if I were trying to break everything. Though there was the time I tried to fix a broken hinge on one of our mosquito hives and released a swarm. Chased me around the orchards 3 times before I managed to get help. Don't I know it? Worker friend of mine ran afoul of one of the swarms and had to get new kidneys. Not due to renal failure, but because the mosquitoes kept stinging his kidneys. Don't worry though, mosquitoes are typically only about when living folks aren't in the orchards. I am contractually obligated to tell you that mosquitoes never get out during visiting hours. But when they do, the only way to get them to return is to go directly to hive control and activate emergency recall. Which isn't easy, considering all the hives near control. But this is all a departure from what I wanted to say. I've been trying to help the orchards, not harm them. Hold a moment. You haven't found anything, have you? But there's nothing to come clean about. I've just been doing my best out here.
Hey, what are you doing in here? Are you authorized to be in the conservatory? Are you trying to give me a heart attack? Are you my ex-wife? No, she fell off the side of Eridanos under mysterious circumstances 6 years ago, conveniently rendering our marriage contract null. You must be the new, groundskeeper? That can't be it either, seeing how the new one hasn't died yet. Just who are you? Merciful law, that sounds like a lot of philosophism, which is highly outlawed throughout Halcyon. But I won't report you, considering how heavily armed you are. Bleeding hell. Standing up like this makes a body forget how stiff it gets, bent over plants all day. Oh, seems I'm not as young as I feel. Hello again, youngster. You're certainly doing a lot of running to and fro. Don't overexert yourself. The wasp-ketos can smell weakness. Bleeding hell. I sit inside and I look at plants. Goal is usually to make Rizzo's fruit products hardier and sweeter, but for every success, there are a couple of hundred failures. Example, tried breeding native Tripicale with a foreign strain. Would have called it Hexticale. In the end, it bred so fast, workers were swallowed up before they could harvest it. That one, I think, can be attributed to the wasp-ketos. Some lament their irritability, but their productivity is unmatched. What's a few dead workers in the architect's designs? You say angry. I say efficient. Not only can our wasp-ketos defend themselves, but Rizzo's investments as well. They come through the orchards only during pollination cycles, as dictated by our hive control operators, which means that visitors usually aren't on the receiving ends of their stingers. Well, yes, if there's an equipment malfunction, the pollination cycle will have to be manually shut down, which means traveling to hive control while the wasp-ketos swarm. Indeed. Tromped in and out of the conservatory with no heed for anyone else. Good thing none of my charges were damaged. Starlet or not, I would have had a harsh word for her. I heard she pushed her way into a tour of the RR&DD labs not soon after. She's just a serial actress. Yet she acts like she's deserved of the same access as a co-CEO. Well, she's not going anywhere ever again, which is a shame, of course. Taken too soon and all.
Timeline discrepancy detected nearby.
Hello? I can hear you out there. If you still possess the majority of your mental capacities, please locate the test room through the lobby and to the left. You'll see me through the glass. How in the aether did you get in here? You're not a Rizzo's authorized. Oh, void it all. What does it even matter now? What do you want? Speak up and quickly if you will. Pardon the blue blazes out of me, but who in the name of the Eternal are you? I'll have you know, I am Dr. Leora Blossom, the head of research and development, and you are standing in my lab, uninvited. Now, perhaps you couldn't tell by the empty lobby and general state of disarray, but this is no time to be playing games. Ah, an intruder of some comportment. Forgive me if I overreacted. I'm a little on edge presently. You see, I've found myself in a bit of a pickle. Some of my lab techs have turned rather aggressive following a recent experiment gone awry. Hence why I've barricaded myself in the lab. Yes. I suppose I should make myself useful. Let me think. Ah, I know. I can remotely unlock the supply closets in the lower levels of the lab. Perhaps you'll find some useful apparatus or two in them. Oh no. They're quite unaware of their actions, I'm afraid. We're a research and development branch of Rizzo's, focused primarily on the Spectrum vodka line. But the specific research that goes on in this facility is utterly confidential. You understand? So you've no qualms about snooping through my precious research files. But will you understand the data once you've acquired it? Essentially, we research new innovations for an array of Rizzo's products. My present troubles stem from one we've just developed. The product's potential for profit is nearly limitless. But I'm afraid explaining the science behind it would far exceed your capability for understanding. Now, was there anything else?
And lose my life's work? You want me to just burn my lab and my entire future to the ground over one experiment that's gotten rather out of hand? No, I think not. We merely need to clean up the mess, so to speak. Reset the lab back to functional parameters.
Clean up the mess? These are people's lives you're speaking of.
Staff can be replaced, you know. Research data? Now that's invaluable. Excellent. You have my gratitude, and soon you'll have my knowledge of Miss Bellamy's recent visit as well. Now, if you'd rather not kill my lab techs during this cleanup, I believe you can dispense a sedative gas from a terminal in the utility room.
These people don't deserve to die, Captain. Let's try using the sedative.
The door to the lower labs is sealed for our safety, so you'll need to take the elevator down. I'll unseal the access hallway for you now. Do take care.
Somebody didn't want us talking to Dr. Blossom. You think it was Miss Helen's killer?
Timeline discrepancy detected nearby. Confirmation of discrepancy confirmed. This person is most definitely dead. But recently, they were still alive.
What an awful place to die. What do you think happened to her? The killer might have been in a hurry. I guess that makes sense, if they were after something else.
Whoops. There it is. Okay. This is... This is Dr. Blossom. Eridanium Gigaseous Slug Research Report 1. Subject: a bunch of slugs. Ugh. These things may well be Rizzo's ticket to the top of the board. But at the end of the day, they still look like my brother would if he ever stopped wearing that damn toupee. Initially found these little bastards suckling on the hairy undersides of a teacup canid. Much like my brother, who works for the Wilderness Exploitation Reserve. The backstabber. Suffice it to say that these things are parasites. The canid didn't seem to mind, but it's almost as stupid as my research staff. Good stuff. Oh, whoops. Got some spectrum on the dissection subject. It's fine. Yeah, I think I see a couple sacs in the worm. Might secrete enzymes or poison or something. We'll figure it out later. Starting to see doubles, so I'm going to switch to working on the Gatling. Almost got the spectrum lock done.
Timeline line discrepancy detect. Body heat readings indicate that the culprit was just here mere moments earlier in the timeline.
See that red wire? Whoever cut that wire was trying to disrupt the circuit. They could have sealed the lab doors temporarily. At least until the failsafes kicked in. Looks like a standard ventilation shaft to me. Somebody around my size could have crawled in. Wouldn't have been comfortable or, clean. Ventilation shafts usually turn into sprat nests.
About to commence. Please evacuate the orchards at this time. Releasing the wasquitos for pollinization. Cycle is now in progress.
The wasquitos are being released. Am I the only one not surprised by this? Someone must think we're getting too close to the truth.
Analysis of this stovetop reveals an alarming degree of grease buildup, approximating proximity to volatile gases and chemicals. Chances of an explosive combustion upon next use currently at 92.9%. Searching slug work logs. No work log found. Creating conjecture. Slug has likely not fixed this issue due to a lack of responsibility on the part of their employees. Most corporations have regular cleaning procedures to prevent damage to company property. Slug, already unlike most corporations in a variety of ways, does not. That or the employees tasked with inspecting are shirking their duties. For shame.
Terribly sorry, but I can't chat just now. Someone on the second VIP level just ordered 15 canid meat pies, and if I don't get to it now, it'll be my head. I understand your devotion to your job, really I do, and I hope you'll understand mine. Things might change if you had something very particular to talk to me about, but I'm afraid I'm just too busy to talk right now. I'd be delighted to chat with you later.
I understand there was an incident at the orchards. The pollination cycle began without my authorization. Fortunately, you managed to save most of the hive. The wasquitos are essential to the orchards, you see. Losing them would have cost us months of production. The orchards can be a dangerous place, but my workers understand the hazards. Something about this incident troubles me. The circumstances are suspicious. But let's concentrate on the matter at hand. Have you discovered anything? You have my attention. That's troubling, to say the least. Any transfer of proprietary data is strictly prohibited without my permission. A clever deduction, Inspector. That gives us a little information to work with. Yes, I share your suspicions. Someone didn't want you following their trail. This feels like more than corporate espionage. Someone's playing with us, Inspector. And I have never in my life enjoyed games. Did you discover anything else? Insisted. That's interesting. We'd scheduled a tour of the lab for Helen. Purely a public relations event to be held sometime in the indeterminate future. Then again, Helen and I were not well acquainted. I can't speak to her intentions. A picnic? I don't recall approving a private social gathering at the orchards. I'll have to make a note of this information. Thank you for bringing this to my attention. Was there anything else? That's deeply upsetting. Dr. Leora Blossom was an extraordinary scientist and a friend. We have a murderer on the loose, Inspector. As if the death of Halcyon Helen wasn't enough of a blow to our facility. Interesting. The Rizzo's family is a small family, Inspector. Most of us recognize one another. Still, any information is good information. It troubles me to believe Leora could have been murdered by one of our own. If there's anything else you'd like to share, you have my attention. This incident at the orchards must be connected to Helen's murder somehow. I don't know how, but I feel it in my marrow. My apologies, Inspector. This case is under your jurisdiction, not mine. I leave it in your hands. When you're ready, I suggest a word with the hotel coroner. She should have finished her autopsy by now.
I don't think he can see us, Captain. On account of that huge mask cutting off his vision. You want to maybe let him know we're here?
Oh, sweet gibbering law! Where'd you come from? Sorry, let me just get back in character. Whoa, 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 it's not what it looks like. Looks can be deceiving, friend. For example, what looks like misappropriation may, in fact, be a misunderstanding. I seem to have wandered into the wrong premises. I have mistaken this penthouse for the Rizzo's Rangers' locker room on account of my headgear cutting off my peripheral vision. Fair enough. You seem pretty decent. Also, you're guarding the only way out. I am acting on behalf of Mr. Black Hole Birdie, the Holmeister, the Hack Attack. I don't have a lot of time, but Mr. Birdie sent me to retrieve a message. Something he recorded for Ms. Bellamy while he was off his kilter. Sure am. It's all part of the Rizzo's Employee Morale Improvement Program. Hey, friend, you should know it's real hard for me to hurry you up like this. I'm feeling all kinds of guilt right now, but I've really gotta make tracks. Clothes, mostly. Couple tops, couple pants, couple pairs of socks. Didn't find a letter, and I'm trying real hard to stay positive about that. Will you meet me later, over at the pilot house? I swear, from the bottom of my employment contract, I will tell you everything I know about Ms. Bellamy's demise. I figured you'd understand. Big penthouse like this, and you never know who's dropping eaves. Meet me over by the pilot house. It's the land complex with the big old engine that keeps us flying. I'll tell you everything I know, I swear.
Inspector, Not a moment too soon. I've just finished my autopsy report. Do forgive me. The human body is a museum of gory wonders and vascular delights. Ruth Bellamy was killed by plasma damage to the upper vertebrae, the occipital bone, and the cerebellum. If it's any consolation, her death was instantaneous and painless. I've also discovered a poisonous compound in Miss Bellamy's stomach lining ingested during her last meal. Toxic, but not enough to kill her. Spencer Woolrich complained of a stomach ailment around the same time period. I assumed he was being, Spencer. But now I'm not so sure. Conversations with Mr. Woolrich tend to spontaneously transform into monologues. You'll find him on the VIP guest floor. I'd best return to work, Inspector. Autopsies always whet my appetite, and all this talk of food is distracting me. Inspector. Oh, how curious. I do believe you're right. I wonder if this has something to do with the autopsy process. She was Halcyon Helen up until the moment I brought her to the operating table. But as soon as I cut her open, I stopped thinking of her as Halcyon Helen. It's almost as if she stopped being an icon and became a human being. I had a feeling you'd understand. I do keep logs of every patient I treat. Despite appearances, I'm not merely a coroner. I'm also the Grand Colonial's only, and therefore greatest, doctor. I'm very pleased with my work. Cedric Kincannon is an outstanding employer. What I'm about to tell you, do me a favor and keep this between us. I'd much rather work for Slug than Rizzo's. Rizzo's makes a great show about the happiness of its workers, but I think it's all rather artificial. I'm paid well. I work hard. I'm given respect and a reasonable degree of freedom. Cedric Kincannon runs a tight ship. Most of us enjoy working for Slug. Will there be anything else?
About time you arrived. I see you haven't dressed the way I asked you to, but I suppose that was expecting too much of a non-industry lout. Expect a complaint to management. Now, unless you'd like to waste more of my time, I suggest we begin rehearsing. Ready? You've fallen right into my trap, Captain. Oh, don't bother to fight back. You cannot hope to stop me from installing philosophism as the system's reigning ideology. How does the scenery taste? Good, I trust? Wait a moment. You're not wearing a bellhop's ID, which must mean you're not Owen's understudy. That man can't even be relied upon to find his own replacement. Oh, no, this is curious indeed. Who are you, and how did you get in here? You're here to investigate me? Oh, I assure you, I'm nothing special. Just an old crook with more money than time. That was a quote from The Retiree's Revenge, in which I played an ex-thief turned decrepit old man. But, of course, I'm certain you already recognized it. Now, what shall I sign first? Your weapon? Your wallet? Or perhaps something a little more personal? Undergarment signatures have been popular of late, or so I've heard. I'd be delighted. Oh, damn. My pen's out of ink. I'll just get you a portrait of my face as a souvenir. I'm sure I have the prints around here somewhere. By the by, how did you get in here? The only non-staff individual cleared to enter guest rooms is supposed to be the inspector for Bellamy's murder. Oh. Oh! Hello. Terribly sorry, Inspector. I didn't realize it was you. Understand that I am beyond willing to comply with your search for the fiend that did Bellamy in. You know, now that I look at you, you're the perfect reflection of me, back when I starred in the Marauder's Bane, the absolute picture of justice. Ask me anything at all. I might even give you a straight answer. I'm sure you're joking. Perhaps I'm not in my prime, but you've no doubt seen the name Spencer Woolrich on many a serial advertisement throughout your travels. Yes, of course. Indeed. The agonizing bowel pain was most undignifying. While I've certainly had no shortage of inadequate hotel meals, this was most explicitly pronounced. I suspect poison. And who would be most likely to poison me but Chef Anwar? Oh, we've clashed almost non-stop about his slop preparation. He must have tainted my meal in retaliation. How alarming! Whoever targeted her was certainly targeting me. I can only thank my ironclad constitution that I'm standing here before you. Oh, that's very good to know. Perhaps the poisoner simply meant to incapacitate us both, disrupt the product launch. I couldn't say, Inspector. I'm merely an actor. Is that a jibe? Could you imagine the tabloid headlines? Spencer Woolrich, Aetherwave star, spotted in gastronomic distress. Oh, unseemly hardly describes the half of it. None that I can think of. I treat all hotel staff equally, and with the minimum level of respect that they deserve. Very well, then. Certainly. But one quick question before we begin, if I may. How was it that Bellamy met her end? Why, I'm merely worried for my own sake. Perhaps whoever came after her could come after me next. But if you don't want to tell me, I understand. Whatever happened, I hope poor Bellamy didn't suffer. Oh, come now, Inspector. What do you take me for? I'm an old man. I neither have the time nor the willpower to kill people for fun. Besides, I have my reputation to think of. Bellamy has been my co-star throughout the autumn of my career. I should like to think I knew her. In fact, I cannot name a single role in the last 10 years that did not involve her in some way, unless you count the uncredited silent shopkeep on Melissa's Meteoroids. I'm not too proud to admit it. I couldn't get work on my own. Whether or not I wanted to accept it, Bellamy had captured the eye of the colony. People kept talking about the charisma we had on screen, but I felt more chemistry with certain teacup canids than with her. As you may have been able to conclude, I wasn't terribly enamored with Bellamy, but that doesn't mean I'd kill her. I was meditating, of course. That's how I get into character. Respectfully, Inspector, it is rather counterproductive to commune with others while meditating. All actors have their methods, and this has been mine ever since I met that wonderful prophet of profitability. She taught me it for my role in The Unemployed Cometh, I had to lie face down on artificially heated pavement. The director wanted our suffering to be convincing. Needless to say, being able to leave my body helped to mitigate the pain, both during the 8-hour shoot and with the second-degree burns afterwards. I owe that woman much. Yeah, actually, only since I've been at the Colonial. The unemployed cometh was shot on sight. That makes it, a few weeks. I cannot recommend her services enough. If you haven't been to see her yet, you really should. I'll answer whatever you wish. I suppose that is enough on that grim subject. Oh, have you now? Please do go on. Don't leave me in suspense. That, yes. Yes, I distinctly recall ordering an alcoholic beverage with my meal. This hotel is certainly bringing a new meaning to the phrase rotgut. Management shall receive the complaint to end all complaints. I'm quite used to being breathlessly watched. Oh, must I relive that ghastly event again? My intestines still have yet to fully recover. But I suppose we may discuss it further. Very well, then.
Yes? Are you here for the double rack of smoked sprat? Well, I'm sorry to disappoint you, but you'll have to wait. Oh, don't give me that look. Let me see if I can pencil you in for later. Actually, what am I saying? I can't do that. I'm booked for the next month. You'll have to make a reservation. You're the inspector? Here? Why? I mean, you may ask me whatever you want. I have nothing to hide. I prep dishes day in and day out for guests, and while I doubt their palates are refined enough for my flavors, the work is rewarding. After all, I can take pride knowing that I simply am the best cook this side of Halcyon. No one else can even hope to compare. No. As it so happens, I was down in the employee break room. I wasn't taking an unsanctioned break, of course. I was merely fetching ingredients. Of course I did. I would never allow anyone else to touch the meals of so important a guest. Well, yes, I'm positive. Why? How? Oh, fine. There may have been times I left Helen's meal unsupervised. Spencer Woolrich and Bellhop Owens were underfoot in the kitchen as I was preparing Helen's meal. Either one of them could have tampered with the food when I was fetching ingredients. Mr. Woolrich often finds the hotel's meals wanting. He seems to enjoy complaining in person. While I could appreciate someone with a discerning palate for once, I believe that Mr. Woolrich simply enjoys the attention he gets from us. Though don't tell him I said as much. If you wish to speak with him, Mr. Woolrich can most likely be found in his suite on the VIP guest floor. He's usually there if he's not poking around here. Yes, but not specifically. Owens often procures exotic ingredients from the creatures at the Wilderness Exploitation Reserve. Our guests can be rather particular. Let's not talk about the incident with the Raptidon pheromone glands. It's always hard to say when Owens might be back. If I were you, I'd make a trek to the reserve myself. Otherwise, who knows how long you'll have to wait. Well, it's a breach of professionalism, of course. Why else would I worry about it? Well, I suppose that's as good a point as any I've heard. I may have taken some time to engage in a teensy bit of recreational drinking, and consequently, I may have been somewhat less than coherent after preparing Helen's meal. I understand your reluctance, but... Oh, I just remembered. The kitchen security camera. It'll prove I'm telling the truth about everything. Constable Keene has access to the security footage in her office at the spaceport. If you visit her, you can figure out what truly happened with Helen's meal. Thank you for your understanding, Inspector. I'm sure you'll find the true culprit before long.
Hey, you! We've been looking for you, and by we, I mean Slug. Been real busy sniffing around Eridanos for clues, haven't you, Inspector? See, Slug Light Underground don't like that much.
He's trying so hard. It's actually kind of sad.
Should have kept your nose where it belonged, Inspector. Slug's sick of all your meddling in their affairs. Our affairs, I mean. We're... Draw, you damn breadworm, draw! Well, you ain't gonna stick that nose anywhere ever again. Quick, everyone! Get him!
Incoming!
Greetings, non-criminally associated individual. The Rizzo's constabulary is currently not closed due to a sprat infestation. Bureaucratic processes are currently suspended. At present, criminal reports do not require paperwork. Please lament only in marked lamentation zones. Please speak clearly into this unit's recording instruments. Checking logs. Error. Informational limitations found. 2. Reciting limitation 1. Do not tell users about constabulary sprat infestation. We do not need to pay the health inspector's bribe a third time. Limitation 2. Do not read informational limitations aloud, especially not to any of those void-damned snot-nosed guests, or I'll have you sold for parts. Error. Unit designation no longer wine taster. Unit designation now deputy. Unit does not have a favorite wine. Unit is incapable of taste. While potential lethality of unit instrumentation bears towards 95%, violent utilization of equipment would void unit warranty. All Rizzo's constabularies must include at least one deputy constable among the pool of available Rizzo's employee candidates. This unit was considered the most competent. How may this unit be of service to you? All requests for security footage require a nominal compulsory bribe. Is that acceptable? Error. Bit processing unit has been removed, temporarily surpassing bit fee request. Funds will be requested from Rizzo's leadership with interest at a later date. Delivering footage. Thank you for your patronage. If you would like a wine recommendation to pair with that footage, please submit the requisite request forms. Is there any other assistance this unit may provide? No. This unit would implore you to confess to your crime of landing with an expired permit. Please explicate your defense into this unit's recording equipment.
My permit wasn't expired, Scrap Heap. You probably just scanned it wrong.
Error. Unit's permit reading equipment was updated only last week. Please tell a different lie.
Tell a different... You're a mechanical. You ain't got the foggiest idea whether I'm telling the truth or not.
Correct. Criminal. However, Constable Keen has decreed that this unit will remain here, questioning you every minute until you submit a confession. Error. Information on recent exchange lost. Restarting conversation. Greetings, criminal. This unit would implore you to confess to your crime of landing with expired...
It's the constable. She was a good sort. She didn't deserve this. Must have gotten too close to the truth for the killer's liking.
Timeline discrepancy. An aberration in the expected timeline for this organic being has occurred. Behold, the body of Maria Keene, formerly the constable of the Eridanos atmospheric complex. No signs of life detected. Maria Keene is survived by no known relatives. Excellent observation, Inspector. Multiple wounds located in the frontal bone and between the clavicles suggest she was facing away from her attacker. Furthermore, the location and circumference of exit wounds suggest a firearm with unconventional ammunition. These casings are too minuscule for conventional small-caliber firearms. Each casing resembles a lancing needle used for medical and surgical purposes. High concentration of potassium chloride detected. Trace amounts of neurotoxin detected. These substances show the highest concentration near the entry and exit wounds. Cardiac arrest, rather than physical trauma, is the most likely cause of death. Your memo has been noted. This unit has been programmed to offer encouragement during moments of emotional strain. Banter protocol activated. We'll find the sprat bastards responsible, Inspector.
Welcome back, hopefully, law-abiding individual. Engaging guilt-tripping subroutines. You haven't committed any crimes lately, have you? Please speak clearly into this unit's recording instruments. Understood. This unit requires a moment to process this information. Information processed. Personal designation upgraded to acting constable. Thank you, law-abiding consumer. Error. This unit is incapable of inspection, deduction, unassisted apprehension, or aggressive pursuit. This unit has been programmed to recommend a wine to pair with your grief. Wash away your sorrows with a glass of highly concentrated, partially fermented purple berry wine. Has a body richer than Byzantium's elite, with an earthy aftertaste redolent of mostly oak. Purple berry wine coming soon from Rizzo's.
Hey there. You looking to unwind, friend? Maybe you're on your way to the bar for a good time? Maybe you're interested in something a little better than beer or Adreno? Something with a little more kick? Bold claim, I know. But I wouldn't lie to you, friend. The name's Auric. I deal in, shall we say, holistic pharmaceuticals, natural substances and the like. You know, alternative stuff. I know. Ooh, it came out of the ground. That's where worms live. I get it. I do. Why go for that homegrown shit when you could be pumping your body full of effort accelerators? Says it right on the Anti-Cleo's box. Better than nature, right? Well, I'm gonna let you in on a little secret, pal. Those pharmaceuticals the corporations manufacture, not all of them are as good for you as the board wants you to believe. Alternatives. That's the way to go, pal. Trust me. No matter what ails you, I got what you need. What do I sell? I've got premium shit, my friend. Vitamins like you wouldn't believe. Calcium, vitamin D, reverse vitamin D. I got everything, my friend. You got stress problems? I got stress solutions. Aromatherapy eases the mind. Diluted mantisaur essence, best kept secret in the business. And if you're a real freak, techniques to calm yourself by fooling your own mind. If they can tame the rage of a certain well-known tossball star, they can help anybody. What can I do you for?
You would not believe how many times that ladder's come in handy. Why ladders do not come standard in all offices is completely nonsensical. Now then, here for my alibi, I assume. Another murder? Drunk Raptidons? Black Hole Birdie practicing his hacking in the middle of the street? Stop me if it's one of those, or I'll just keep guessing. There was an incident. You should have seen Eileen. Besides being an absolute gem of an assistant, she's a terror with a fountain pen. Raptidons aside, what was your incident, Inspector? Sounds as though you've already sorted it out yourself. Slug uniforms do seem to go missing from the hotel laundry with impressive regularity. Easy enough for someone to nick a few. Now ask yourself this. Why would anyone give thugs slug gear and send them after you? Right again, Inspector. But I can't fathom who would benefit from tarnishing my reputation like that. Can you? Oh, that's good. That's very good, Inspector. I like this. Dominant, aggressive, The man in charge. I don't want to accuse anyone without hard evidence, though it may be worth noting Ludovico has motivation in spades. So, as you've deduced, I did not send anyone from Slug after you, nor is it likely they assigned themselves that task. Still, I am sorry for the trouble, Inspector. With that settled, I assume you'll want to know where I was the night of Helen's murder. Let's see. That night, I was... Torturing Elliot Nasser for information on missing cargo. That was a messy one. Didn't break until nearly noon the next day. Can you imagine? His spine, specifically. If you'd like to know the exact vertebrae, I'm afraid I don't know. I can tell you he's quite dead. Not that it matters much. You'd be a fool to believe me, regardless of what I told you. People lie, and I am, incriminatingly, people. And I appreciate that, Inspector. The fact of the matter is, I know I didn't kill Helen, and I trust you fully and completely to find whoever did. If it helps, however, you might consider pursuing not my means, but my motive. Why in the name of the architect would I kill Halcyon Helen? She was making me a fortune. I'm considering a line of commemorative merchandise. Still, that's nothing compared to what Helen would have made us in the long run. I'd offer to assist you in your work, but I have a mystery of my own to solve, I'm afraid. Oh, Elliot stole from me, all right. Alas, you're right in that his was a singular, isolated incident, and as such, does not resolve a concerning broader trend. Items are disappearing from Slug's storage and processing warehouse. The thefts began a week before Helen's unfortunate death, and there have been more instances since. Before you ask, I know the difference between cargo going missing and cargo going missing. This is the latter. Nothing unsavory, and nothing Ludovico shouldn't know about, if that's your concern. I'm quite serious when I say Slug is a legitimate business. As to the specifics, I'm not sure. The warehouse foreman should be able to tell you. Before you ask, I know the difference. I'm not sure. I'm only confident there is one. That the thefts began mere days before Helen's untimely demise is an extraordinary coincidence. I'm not a man who believes in happenstance, Inspector. I do not trust it. I certainly wouldn't take that bet. Regardless, this will be fun. You out in the field, chasing down leads, me scheming in my office, preparing to unspeakably mangle the perpetrator. You do recall, Inspector, that I'm not to be trusted? But certainly, whatever you say. You'll want to speak with Ella Tinsley, the warehouse foreman. I've cleared her as a suspect myself, but should she refuse to cooperate, shoot her. No, I'm joking. If she won't cooperate, tell me and I will shoot her. And do feel free to search my office for clues while you're here. Don't hold back on my account. Was there something else you wanted to discuss? The original incident? Well, I made him an offer he should have refused. Intimidation has its role in diplomacy. Still, his choice to work with Sublight was indeed a choice. Our combative relationship stems from paperwork, mundanely enough. Rizzo's contracted Sublight to construct the Eridanos atmospheric complex. Had Lou wanted Rizzo's to retain full control of Eridanos, he shouldn't have skimmed the revised contract I sent him. Lou's an administrator, for law's sake. I thought he would adore all the fine print I added. Still technically visible to the human eye, but only just. You're quite good at this. It was all perfectly legal, too, which irked Lou to no end. My power grab, as Lou called it, planted the seed of hatred. And Lou, obsessed with what should have been, has made sure to water it daily with his bitterness and anger. Alas, I can't. I am, first and foremost, the head of Slug, and it simply wouldn't be good for business. Slug's control of Eridanos is a crucial step in my long-term plans for Sublight. The board needs to see irrefutable proof we are a respectable, legitimate business. Because one day soon, Sublight will obtain a seat on it. Meanwhile, our dear administrator is still laser-focused on old slights, which can be a nuisance. He's grown increasingly desperate to catch Slug with our hand in the proverbial cookie jar as of late, convinced we're involved in less than legal business opportunities. Not in front of witnesses, I didn't. Constable Keene? Now that is a damn shame. Am I right to think this wasn't a workplace accident? It seems murder is becoming an unsettling trend on Eridanos as of late. Thank you for informing me of Constable Keene's passing. When you find her killer, please be certain to make them suffer. We may have been on opposite sides of the law on occasion, but we were not enemies. Perhaps it will shock you to hear her loss saddens me. Maria was a decent soul, and law knows those are in short supply around here. A little square, perhaps, in her dedication to the rules, but good nonetheless. I'm also saddened to have lost an occasional drinking buddy. She was quite good at cards, you know. No, she didn't. But let's discuss something else. Do you have other matters requiring my attention? Very well. That is the question, isn't it, Inspector? Tell me, do you really believe Helen's death was a mere crime of passion? Or one of petty career jealousy? A smart approach, Inspector. And yet, this murder is bigger than Miss Helen's personal life. Bigger than her latest moving picture. Indeed. I suspect Helen arrived on Eridanos with grander plans than promoting Spectrum Brown. I knew I was right about you being clever, Inspector. I'm glad. Because whoever did kill Helen is not going to come forward so easily. I just might. Your point, Inspector? Yes, I suppose you have. Be very careful, Inspector. I'd very much like to see you still around for the grand finale, whenever it comes, whatever shape it takes. A few. Helen was strangely curious about the private business operations around Eridanos. She said it was role research, but how much business know-how does one actor truly need for an action picture? I also arranged to have Helen supplied with mag picks, bypass shunts, and other hacking tools. She wanted to buy in bulk. That she bought in bulk? Not particularly. It takes time to learn to use tools like that deftly. I wonder, did she run out of time in the end? One moment, if you please, Inspector. I've answered your questions. I believe it's my turn to ask you a question now. What, or who, made you decide to investigate me? Understandable. A man of my standing would naturally be tied up in all this, whether he wishes to be or not. Now then, did you need anything else?
See detected nearby. A cursory fingerprint analysis shows this display case was recently opened or closed. Confirmed. The grip has been modified for a specific wielder. most likely the rifle's owner. Additionally, the plasma rifle sights appear to have been realigned to better accommodate a shooter with slight myopia in one eye. The fingerprints belong to Cedric Kincannon.
Oh, admiring my rifle. Had it custom fitted by a woman on Monarch. Inspector. To what do I owe the pleasure? Very well. All right.
Please, can't you see my heart is bursting at the seams? I absolutely must go out. A quote from the Sisty Cutlet. I voiced a Sisty pig, aware that it was going to be slaughtered. Ask me anything at all. I might even give you a straight answer. Oh, have you now? Please do go on. Don't leave me in suspense. What? That damned bellhop promised discretion. Well, if you must know, it's, an appetite suppressant. How do you think I keep my form so lithe? Terror glands keep me from feeling hunger pangs. Tampering? No, no, no. I just happened to be passing through the kitchen and saw a dish that looked good. If being hungry is a crime, you better indict 3/4 of Halcyon. Oh, well, there's... Maybe I just wanted to see what was in it. Oh, law. What a pathetic defense. As it so happens, I may not have had the terror gland acquired for personal use. I may have placed it in Bellamy's meal. But before you indict me, please, just listen. I wasn't trying to kill her. Lie is such a strong word. But even if I had chosen to poison myself, the danger should have been minimal. Terror glands aren't supposed to be lethally poisonous. They're supposed to cause extreme lethargy, as if you'd inhaled several quarts of Spectrum vodka. She would have had to eat 6 or 7 of the glands to die, and even then it would be an extended, arduous process. I was just getting to that. I only wanted her to be incapacitated during the Brown unveiling. With her out of commission, the next available celebrity, myself, would get to host the unveiling. Please think twice about telling the administrator of my misdeeds. If he learns the truth, what's left of my career will be left in shambles. Tell him it was a poisonous mushroom, or a bite from some poisonous insect. An accident. I promise I shall make up for my actions. Pay to erect a statue in Helen's honor, or perhaps even dedicate a performance to her memory. Thank you very much, Inspector. And for what it's worth, I really do hope you find the true murderer.
Line discrepancy detected nearby. Discrepancy detected. Rizzo's company policy clearly states that all proprietary mascots must exhibit signs of physical life. Excellent observation, Inspector. Have you deduced a possible cause of death? Unusually small entry wounds indicate exotic weaponry. Closest approximations are 1. Incident involving a game of darts. 2. The Needler. Yes, Inspector. The Needler. Bespoke handgun carried and wielded by Halcyon Helen. Famously deployed by Halcyon Helen in Terror on Monarch. This weapon was responsible for executing the Chief of the Savages, played by Spencer Woolridge. This unit is incapable of providing ethical advice. This unit is also incapable of answering rhetorical questions.
What do you want? Shh! Not so loud! How'd you know it was me? That's what the disguise is for. I'm in no mood to sign autographs, and I hate disappointing fans. So I'm lying low. You know, incompleto. Oh, yeah, I guess it's kinda neato. Oh, what's it matter? Helen's gone. She's gone and nothing I do will bring her back. I've been trying to find who did this. That's what she would do. Track down the killer and bring them to justice. But I'm stumped. And not very clever. Being bright was always Helen's thing.
There are many types of intelligence, Mr. Holcomb. For example, your, expertise on the field. Your hack attack is nothing short of brilliant.
Oh, so you're the inspector! Hope you have more luck figuring things out than me. You probably want to ask me some questions, huh? I'm sure you're asking everybody questions, so you can find Helen's killer. So, how do I help? Oh, the picnic. Right. I get real mad sometimes. Ugly mad. Something I've been working on, but when Helen said we were through, I lost it. No. Are you saying... You really think I had something to do with her death? Is that what you're saying to me right now? Because if you think I'd... Deep breaths, Birdie. In and out. Deep breaths. Helen was the love of my life. She was really someone special. I'd have done anything for her. Anything. I was getting blotto with the rest of the Rangers. You know, soaked, muddled, preserved.
He's saying he was drunk, Captain.
The team noticed I was in a bad way when I got back to the hotel. When I told them Helen and I were Splitsville, they wanted to cheer me up. We were up the pole afore evening. The hotel staff said we was bothering the other guests on account of all the crying and yelling and practice body tackling. Zeke said we should move elsewhere, get some air. We ended up at the Wilderness Exploitation Reserve. I think somebody wanted to pet a woolly cow? There was this one cow off away from the others. Zeke figured it'd be a laugh to get her drunk. One thing led to another, and I think we might have maybe, you know, stolen her. Oh, wow! That's real clever of you to figure out. Helen would have liked you, I'd wager. Say, is the cow okay? It was wrong of us. I hope she doesn't have a hangover or nothing. My memory's a little muddled after that. I guess me and the team got split up, 'cause I know I was on my own at the pilot house for a time. I reckon not. See, I went to the weather station. I was looking for where Helen stashed her datapad for safekeeping, right? She'd asked me to get it, mind. I wasn't stealing. I'm no thief. Nah, she sent a note to my hotel room before we, split. I don't know how long it was sitting there before I noticed. She needed something done, and I could do it. Simple as that, okay? I found the data pad at the weather station, like Helen said, but then a guard found me. She started yelling about how I was trespassing and in serious trouble. Thing is, it was real dark out there. So dark, she couldn't tell who I was. Real sure. It was dark as night gets. Plus, I've got small veins. Anyway, I didn't much feel like trying to explain why I was out there, or why I was drunk, and holding someone else's data pad, and also maybe crying a little, so I booked it. Ran like the Rangers were down by 3, and I just bronzed the toss ball in the Friday zone. Yeah, I mean, no. Nope. No one else. I don't. All we did was talk, I swear. It's just... I don't want to tell you. I'll get in trouble.
Trouble. An interesting concept. Depends on who's making the rules, doesn't it? One man's hero is another man's villain and all that. Don't make us be the villains here, Bertie.
Wait. What? Is he threatening me? Am I being threatened? Look, I talked to Auric, okay? Auric West. Hangs out around the spaceport. He's the one who taught me the breathing exercises I use to calm down. Yep, that's the one. So now you have the whole story. After I talked to Auric, I went back to the hotel. Woke up the next morning with Helen's data pad in my hand and the hangover to end all hangovers. Don't know if I'll ever drink again. Oh, yeah, you'll probably want to... Yeah, of course. Of course. Helen sure did have the prettiest handwriting. Yeah. Yeah, me too. Sorry. Here you go, Inspector. Hopefully they make more sense to you. I couldn't make heads or tails of them. Either she was writing in code or I'm dumber than a bag of hammers. I tried for hours to crack her notes, but it's like I said. Being bright was Helen's thing. I know that. But you gotta believe me. I would never hurt Helen, no matter how drunk I was. You could preserve me in Spectrum Brown and I wouldn't even look at her funny. I want to help you find her killer, Inspector. I knew Helen better than anybody. And it could be handy to have a guy like me around, in case anybody gives you trouble. I'm not threatening nobody. Gee, you try to help someone out. I'll head back to the Grand Colonial then. Unless you need me for anything else. What do you want to know? Tossball was, is, and always will be the greatest game in the universe. And I would give it up in a heartbeat to have Helen back. I remember sending her the recording, but law, I was halfway to preserved by then. I don't know what was on it. When I realized what I'd done, I panicked. If I'd said something dumb, folks might think I was involved in her death. I was scared of looking suspicious. I wish that were the dumbest thing I ever did, but it's not. Yeah? Oric's a businessman. He sells stuff you can't get elsewhere. You know, alternative stuff. We're talking sort of science, crockery, whole supplements. Probably. I can never remember. I just know I trust Oric more than I do any sawbones. Maybe putting effort accelerators in your body isn't always the right call, you know? Maybe there are other options. Maybe I don't take all the accelerators Rizzo's pushes on me. People get worked up about this kind of thing is all. Not that my personal business should be any concern of theirs. Yeah? Oric hangs around the spaceport most days. Since he's not here at the bar, he's most likely over by the buy-up bunks at the shipping yard. What about her? Rival actresses, maybe? I don't know too much about the motion picture industry. Except for Helen's pictures, obviously. Those I probably know by heart. Seen them about 100 times each. I wish I knew. Must have been something I did. At the picnic, Helen just kept saying she didn't want to drag me into her world. Maybe one of the higher-ups in motion pictures was giving her trouble over us? I don't know. I tried to understand, but I don't. Look, you and me, we both know I'm a big, dumb tossball star, right? That's what I'm good at. Rizzo's knows it. The fans know it. Helen, she saw me as more than that. She saw someone who had more to offer than big muscles and a signature black hole stomp. Being with Helen was magic. She was magic. There ain't good enough words for something as special as what we had together. What do you want to know?
What can I do you for? Wait, you ain't a sheriff, right? You gotta tell me if you're a sheriff. Because you talk like one. I'd like to ask you some questions. No one says that outside of the serials. All right, fine. Yeah, I know Birdie. So what? He may or may not buy alternatives from me from time to time. A little diluted mantis or essence here, a little vitamin B negative there. Nah. What Birdie's got is a stress problem. He's stressed out of his mind, the poor guy. Everyone knows his name. Can't turn around without having to sign an autograph. Then you throw in playing tossball for a living. Violence like that, it does things to a body. It does things to the head. Yeah. Damn shame about that. Birdie thought the world of Helen, you know. He showed up drunk at my place wanting to talk about the breakup. Helen dumped him, he said. Boy, was he in a bad way. I'd never seen him like that before. We talked for a while, and when he felt better, I sent him back to the hotel. Told him to drink more water and get some sleep. Come on. Birdie's a damn good hacker, but taking that many blows to the noggin would scramble anyone's upstairs business. I know it's knocked a few of his memories loose. I worry about him, that's all. He's a good kid. Got a good heart. Yeah, that was me. Birdie's got a temper, but he's not a bad kid, you know? He's trying to work on it.
Timeline discrepancy detected nearby.
Is Fight Night still on then?
Yeah, we're on. I got 500 riding on Dr. Billy taking it all.
You bet on a sprat named Dr. Billy?
The biology of this sprat is highly unusual. This sprat has been in contact with multiple parasites, yet shows no symptoms of infection. An excellent point, Inspector. The unique immunological subsystem found in sprats is advantageous in fending off parasites, pathogens, and other biological threats. Based on slug records of board-issued punitive sanctions against sublight salvage and shipping, this sprat is most likely intended for cage fighting. A cursory analysis of this organism's anatomy suggests it was bred deliberately for its unusually large size.
You're the inspector, aren't you? Boss Kincannon said you'd be by about the cargo that's been going missing. Gosh, this is so neat. A real-life inspector. What's that like? Have you solved any mysteries yet? Ever had to shoot a suspect? Well, yeah, but they weren't suspects. Right, so the missing cargo. How can I help your investigation? Everyone here at Freight Storage and Processing, for a start. Thing is, the cargo is going missing before the shipments even get to the warehouse. Best I can figure, it's probably getting lost in the shipping yard. As for who has access there, Benton Chan, he's the shipping yard manager, he told me it's mainly just the loading automechs that handle cargo. Nah, Benton's too lazy for crime. The extra work would kill him. Last time I asked him to check the automechs, the whole head told me he couldn't help because he was dead. Brain dead, maybe. But no. My point is that if you think the automechs are a lead, you'll have to check on them yourself. Hopefully, you're mechanically inclined. That's the weird part. There's no pattern, far as I can tell. The thefts don't make sense. I ask you, who would steal a handful of Spacer's Choice Sabers, so dull they can barely cut mud, but leave the spectrum black? Ugh. Who'd be desperate enough to want to steal a Spacer's Choice Saber, full stop? Yeah, probably not. No one's dumb enough to think Spacer's Choice Sabers are worth half a damn. Then there's the most recent theft, 5 boxes of pens and a couple of sodas. I can't decide which one's sadder. Well, I'm no inspector. If there is one, I'm sure you'll find it. Oh, before I forget, I figured you might want to access my terminal, so I had a spare keycard made. It's all yours. Oh no, I forgot to delete all of those incriminating messages I sent about which cargo to steal. Nah, I do have a list of cargo that's gone missing though, if that helps any.
Timeline discrepancy detected nearby. This copy of TK contains 142 fewer pages than a standard copy. The missing pages were likely removed to create sufficient space for the hidden listening device inside. Analysis inconclusive. However, there is a minor accumulation of dust particles present on the book's uppermost surface. 98.3% of the dust particles are less than 500 micrometers in diameter. That is highly likely, Inspector.
You figured that out just by looking at it? gotta talk shop one of these days.
Inspector, please consider speaking into the device in order to trace the transmission and reveal the receiver's location. You can talk, discrepancy amplifier. You do it. Transmission analysis complete. While the precise location of the receiver could not be pinpointed, it has been narrowed down to a smaller, approximate range.
What's that you found? No, wait, don't tell me. Let's save it for the big reveal once you've solved the case.
Timeline discrepancy detected nearby. Transmission endpoint discovered. The receiver in this book matches the transmitter to the listening device found in Cedric's office. It's somewhat grime-covered. Based on the accumulated mix of sludge and detritus, the receiver has been present since approximately a week before Helen's death. Due to the high level of foot traffic in this area, this unit is unable to determine who placed the device. Timeline discrepancy detected nearby.
Hostility detected. Please lower your hostility.
Inspector, this loading automechanical's programming does not match factory default settings. The standard defensive protocol has been modified to include an additional trigger. There is a directive in place to initiate defensive protocol should an unsanctioned data log installed in this automechanical be removed. Slug automechanical maintenance records indicate this particular unit is frequently reported as out of position or missing for periods of time. For Type K-19 cargo transport automechanicals, defensive protocol is triggered by attempted interference with cargo or its transportation or attempted destruction of the unit. Once triggered, defensive protocol targets the perpetrator and applies lethal force until the target has been deceased for a minimum of 3 minutes.
Loading automechanical unit K-14 is fully operational at 99% power. Please designate the cargo to be transported and its destination. How can this automechanical assist you? Access panel is open. Please be sure to close the access panel when you are done. Failsafe successfully disabled. Kill mode deactivated. Ejecting data log 17C. Apologies. This unit does not have access to cargo inventory lists. Unit entering standby mode. Have a nice day.
Inspector, to what do I owe the pleasure? Ooh, I love this part. The big reveal. So tell me, what happened? What makes you say that? Damn, you're good. Hacking the Automex. So that was our skimmer's game. But why? Everything that was stolen has seemed random. I certainly see no pattern. So, our culprit had something specific they wished to acquire and used the random theft as a smokescreen. I must say, Inspector, you've done excellent work on this case. Then that just leaves how the culprit knew where their true target would be, or indeed, that Slug would soon possess it. Am I right to think what you found in my office earlier was the other half of this listening device? She, Inspector. She could hear everything. The bug belongs to me, Inspector. I lent it to Halcyon Helen to assist her with role research. That, or she never intended it to stop. Impossible to know now. Unbelievable. I helped her. Gave her whatever she needed. I thought we were doing each other a good turn. This is a betrayal, Inspector. I do not take betrayal lightly. Helen should consider herself very lucky indeed that she is already among the dead, and that some other bastard beat me to putting her in the ground. Yes, I suppose we have. There is, however, a slight chronological incongruency to it. I now have a motive to kill Halcyon Helen, but Halcyon Helen is already dead. If I'd known Helen was stealing from me, I may very well have killed her, or had her killed. Alas, I did not. Oh, that is good, Inspector. Now you are thinking in the manner you must if you intend to get to the bottom of this mess. I wish you luck with your investigation, though I doubt you'll need it. You'll find Helen's murderer. I'm confident of that. Now, if you'll excuse me, I must find a way to excise my anger that minimally damages my business empire. I expect it will involve shooting quite a lot of guns. Inspector, to what do I owe the pleasure?
Hello! Welcome to the Prophet of Profitability's Private Prosperity Retreat. Stay positive, and soon all your humors will be balanced. Least, that's what I keep telling myself. Anyway, I'm Aaliyah Mason. I work as the Prophet's right-hand woman. What can I do for you? Oh my. Yes, this is important enough for me to delay my bi-hourly self-flagellation. Ask away. I was here, at the retreat in the company of the other disciples and clients. I rarely have more than a few minutes of alone time. Which is fine, of course. I do what I do in the service of the Prophet. Who will, I'm sure, reward me for my sacrifice. Eventually. Well, by and large, no. But something rather odd did happen regarding the Prophet recently. A few hours after our high-profile visitor arrived a couple of days ago, the Prophet asked me to take over sessions for the remainder of the day. At first, I was excited. Thought it was my chance to show her what I could do in charge. But then I saw that she was deeply worried about something. No one saw her until the next day. Yes, the circumstances there are quite unfortunate. For a time, the Prophet was completely despondent. Even the hot coal walks weren't buoying her spirits as they usually do. However, we recently had a high-profile visitor whose presence seemed to alleviate whatever the Prophet's fears were. Oh, you must have misheard me. I said high-profile, not had profile. Mr. Woolrich comes by much too often to be worth mentioning. Certainly. Oh, terribly sorry if I gave you that impression. I had a cramp. It's better now. I mean, it might be nice if I had a little inclination of whether the Prophet appreciated all the cooking and cleaning and hours of meditation I do on a daily basis. But whatever she thinks isn't for me to question. I'll do my best to be more chipper. Of course. I've been studying under her for years. I know each of her techniques more or less by heart, and even have some variations of my own, such as the quintuple daily stomach purges. She's promised me that I'd be allowed to open my own branch of the retreat someday soon. Of course, I've been waiting on someday soon for coming up on 4 years now. I'm sure it's gonna happen anytime now. If you felt imbalanced and unproductive, linger in your malaise no longer. We have all the amenities and practices for calming the ill humors strangling your potential. Sit for hours in our sweat house and sweat them out, or stand amidst burning coals and feel your productive inhibitions burn away. And remember, think positive. Positivity equals productivity equals profitability. Actually, before you go, I want to report something suspicious. I noticed the Prophet's dragging something, a bundle, away from the retreat after that high-profile guest arrived. Normally, I'm the one who does her laundry, so it was strange. Especially because whatever she was dragging seemed oddly human-shaped. I think so. Had the right size and shape. I could have, but I generally don't have the time or energy to leave the reserve to contact anyone. Plus, there's always the possibility that I'm mistaken. The Prophet hasn't been herself lately, but if I misinterpreted the situation and reported her improperly, I'd ruin my chances for opening my own wing of the retreat.
Timeline discrepancy detected nearby. Analysis suggests this to be a variety of herbs. Herbs have been uniformly treated with a pungent chemical mix. Warning: ingesting, smoking, or inserting non-corporation sanctioned substances into your ears may be harmful to your health. Analyzing. Complete. Substance appears to be a mix of industrial solvents and various essential oils. Substances include woolly cow dander remover, sprat oil, and starship surface wax. Hypothesizing potential side effects from herb consumption. Most likely outcome, decapitation. Slight possibility of calculation error. Prior analysis suggests these herbs reach peak effectiveness when users burn them and inhale the resulting smoke. Whether or not this increased effectiveness is good for an afflicted individual has yet to be determined.
Fruitful and productive welcome, brother. I had a feeling you would visit me. I offer a wide variety of productivity seminars. I hope you'll consider taking one. But I should remember my manners. To what do I owe the pleasure of the Special Inspector's arrival? My disciples come to and from the Grand Colonial, bringing supplies and information. Knowing what happens at the hotel affects my livelihood, after all. With that said, I'd love to involve you in one of my productivity seminars. We should clear you of all those nasty, nasty humors hampering your potential. As science has taught us, the body is made up of two things, flesh and humors. These humors are semi-fluids that, when improperly balanced, may cause you to function inadequately. By signing up for my seminars, you can balance these humors for only mildly inordinate and repeat payments. Cancellation is subject to repercussions. Nothing you need concern yourself with, brother. It's all in the contracts. But of course, no one need subject themselves to such repercussions if they don't cancel. Regardless, can I interest you in a seminar? We offer a wide variety of seminars for all your corporate needs. Employees not working hard enough? Employees dying too often? It's most likely your managerial humors. And of course, seminars for balancing the energies of your business offices. Interior decorating is much more important for success than many would believe. If any of this sounds at all interesting to you, might I interest you in the first 82 words of our most popular seminar's introduction? Free of charge. Byzantines live lives fraught with competition, and that competition can be immensely stressful. You must, first of all, find a way to balance your thinking. Think not of bits lost, but of those you have yet to gain. After all, peace leads to productivity, and productivity leads to profit. Though thought alone won't balance you. We have a strict regimen to promote humor clearing. Session attendees stand on burning coals, sit for hours in our productivity smokehouse, and of course, fast throughout. Precisely. The barriers within yourself will break down as your skin sweats and blisters, giving the evil humors the proper space to escape. It's my patented method. Who said that? I'll be sure to give them a special seminar on not needlessly implicating the person who puts food on their table. It was a bundle of clothing, brother. Even productivity geniuses need to do laundry from time to time. Yes. I suppose the more quickly we get off this subject, the better. I had a visitor, yes. But as it turned out, some of my productivity techniques were too much for them. I had to drag them out by hand. But their peers came and collected them shortly thereafter. I'm sure whichever attendee it was is perfectly safe now. I'm pleased that you noticed. Excellent eye, brother. The compound they're treated with is my own invention, designed to unlock an individual's true productive potential when burned. I can't say any more. Trade secrets, you know. None of my clients have ever complained, so I'm sure they're perfectly safe. Is there anything else? Oh? I'm surprised. I wouldn't think the two of us would have much to discuss about her. We may have had some terse interactions before her death, which I most certainly regret. But beyond those, well, never mind. What would you care to know? Why, I've been at the Wilderness Exploitation Reserve for quite some time now, as my disciples can attest. In fact, I haven't visited the Colonials since I arrived several weeks ago. Bad energies, you understand. I did not. She had no interest in my seminars, and I had no interest in attempting to convert a stubborn actress. Why would I have had any cause to engage with her further? I wouldn't necessarily say that. The media tends to exaggerate. I will admit that her remarks about my seminars were rather unfortunate. However, I certainly wouldn't sharpen any sabers over it, if that's what you mean to imply. I only do that when my clients skimp on their bills. I hope you now realize that I had nothing to do with Helen's demise.
Timeline discrepancy. Identifying human footprints leading out into the wilderness. It is unusual for productivity disciples to wander more than a few feet from the camp. Scanning. Checking database of shoe sizes and height-weight ratios. Judging by footprint depressions and shoe size, these prints were either made by the Prophet of Profitability or Adjutant Sophia Akande. Error. Recalibrating. These footprints were made by the Prophet of Profitability. Timeline discrepancy detected nearby. Judging by the shape of this indentation in the dirt, a person of medium height and build laid here for a number of hours. Scanning for other details. Only additional signs of disturbance are a few marks in the dirt. No sign of struggle or evidence of wildlife consumption of body. Suspected likelihood of user correctness, 86%.
The prophet says to purge the mind of truth, that her truth is the only truth.
Welcome back, brother. I'm delighted to extend my desire to aid you, brother. How might I assist? Oh, really? What did you find there? What did I dump? That all sounds like hearsay, brother. Perhaps your humors are off balance and confusing your sense of justice. Perhaps you could use a seminar. Yes, that's correct. She made it clear that my seminars were of no interest to her. Well, I suppose that does complicate things. Clever work, Inspector. It seems even I can't slide my way out of the trap you've so intricately weaved. I admit it. I killed Helen. By mistake. Helen changed her mind and wanted to attend one of my sessions. I, knowing the importance of the seminar, desired to truly galvanize her, though not to stop her heart. So when it came time, I chose to double Helen's dosage of productivity-enhancing herbs. I left her to meditate, and when I returned, she was dead. After that, I entered a less than coherent state. One of my disciples, it seems, witnessed me as I dragged Helen's body out into the wilderness. Laws, no. I hate guns. If I ever wanted to kill someone on purpose, I would have used a blunt weapon. Nothing quite like clubbing someone over the head. Do you jest? The guests at the Colonial eat no shortage of strange things, but I think corpses are perhaps too strange. The creatures of the wilderness are much less picky. Besides, the hotel is ridiculously far. I couldn't have made it all that way without someone realizing I was dragging a corpse. I'm no medical professional, but that certainly seemed the case. Usually my customers at least writhe or mumble after a session. My productivity-enhancing herbs typically do induce sluggishness, but I suppose they must have been enough to do her in, if her constitution was truly that weak. What? Is this some kind of joke? You're an inspector. It's your job to arrest me, isn't it? I don't believe you. I think this is all a trick. You're trying to catch me in a lie. Get me to reveal my productivity secrets. No. You can't trick me. I finally discovered what's happening. You've been paid off. Someone else learned that I killed Helen, and is going to use that information to blackmail me. You think I'm going to let this injustice happen? Ha! Tell the constable that I killed Helen. It's 1,000 times less miserable than whatever my enemies have planned. You monster! What am I supposed to do now? They'll be here soon. And once they arrive, I'll be powerless. Powerless! I just want to go to prison! Is that so wrong? You're heartless, Inspector. How will I ever feel safe?
Inspector, I've just received word that Constable Keene is dead. Please tell me it isn't true. Halcyon Helen, Leora Blossom, Maria Keene. There's a murderer on the loose, Inspector. You must stop them. I don't have Maria to count on anymore, so I'm counting on you. The Needler was among Helen's belongings. Whoever stole it must have been able to slip in and out of the hotel. Maria was my sole representative in Cedric's territory. The entire hotel staff is on his payroll. Any one of them could have killed her on his behalf. Maria devoted her entire life to our vision. She was absolutely committed to our company, to our project. I promised myself I'd reward her after we launched Spectrum Brown. I'd make sure she was comfortable for the rest of her life. She was also our voice of reason. She was sensible, and I appreciated her advice. I never got to tell her that. Make them suffer, Inspector. I'm pleased to hear that. Bertie Holcomb is a valuable asset to the Rizzo's Rangers property. When Helen was murdered, Bertie was nowhere to be found. The timing of his disappearance is unfortunate. Try not to feel too bad for him. Bertie is a brilliant athlete. The universe has balanced his talent by making him a slackwit. Bertie has always had trouble controlling his temper. He's responsible for the untimely demise of more than a few toss-ball sticks at the end of a losing match. It's only natural to be suspicious. Helen's death was violent, and the two of them were close. Be plain with me, Inspector. Do you believe Black Hole Bertie killed Helen? I'm relieved to hear that. I happen to be something of a fan of the hack attack. I'd hate to see him processed for murder, but we need to be absolutely sure. I'd like you to continue your investigation. Notify me as soon as you're ready to make a formal accusation. I appreciate that. I'd rather keep Bertie within the public eye than let him languish in a bar at the docks. I'll make my report of your investigation into Bertie. Do you have anything else for me? closely, I trust. Tell me what you found. Of course he's got an alibi. He runs Sublight Underground. He probably starts his day by preparing half a dozen alibis. With that in mind, do you think Cedric was responsible for Helen's death? No motive. That's disappointing, because it's exactly the conclusion he'd want us to make. Unfortunately, even I don't have the authority to detain Cedric. His line of work is dangerous, though. There's always a chance for an accident. Well, I'm glad to hear that. I've already lost Dr. Blossom and Constable Keene, but at least Cedric's alive. The universe is a just place. Ms. Leyva earned that title, but not for the reasons you'd expect. The profit business has been profitable for the hotel. Not so much for Ms. Leyva's followers. So, tell me, what did you find? Really? What makes you say that? Well, that makes things almost too easy for us. But I'd like your opinion first. Does the Prophet strike you as a reasonable candidate for Helen's murderer? I'll bear that in mind. Thank you for the update, Inspector. I'll include everything you've told me in my official report. Inspector? Excellent. I trust you have a name for our poisoner. Oh, I am disappointed. I'd always believed Mr. Woolrich a man of high character. It pains me to order the arrest and detention of someone I admired. I'd like you to continue investigating Helen's murder. You've found the poisoner, but her killer remains at large. I've been waiting for this. Tell me, Inspector, who killed Halcyon Helen? I beg your pardon. You think I killed Halcyon Helen? I knew hiring you was a mistake. I expect you to deliver the name of Helen's killer. I expect you to deliver results, Inspector. And if you can't withstand the pressure, then I expect you to resign. We're done. Your services are no longer necessary. I'm defensive, Inspector, because I'm under attack. I am assaulted by your perfidious and baseless accusations. You're convinced I murdered Halcyon Helen. Fine. Show me some evidence. If you have no proof, then you have no case, and I have no further use for you. Wait, don't move a muscle. Someone's just tripped my alarm. And my security defenses. And killed my patrols. The distillery is under attack. Someone's after me, Inspector. I need you over here right now. Forget what I said. I'm renewing your contract as of this moment. Damn it, someone's interfering with my transmission. Can you read the...
Whoever the real killer is, I got a feeling they're going after Mr. Ludovico. We need to catch up to him. Fast.
I guess, if we have to. Getting kind of tired of kicking my heels up in the penthouse all day.
All right. I got nothing going on.
We should definitely go. As for helping him, maybe we take the wait-and-see approach?
From the depths of Terra 2 to the heights of Eridanos, there's no mess that your SAM unit can't unstick, unclog, or unsully.
Think of this as an opportunity to teach Mr. Ludovico the importance of compassion.
It's you. I had a feeling you'd catch up to me sooner or later, Inspector. I was just hoping you'd find me standing over the Administrator's corpse.
What in law's name? Halcyon Helen, how are you still alive?
Oh, is that Ludovico I hear? Perfect. I'm so glad he's still in the building. Would you mind letting him know I'm about to blow his whole operation to flinders? Brace yourself, Inspector. You're about to learn the biggest secret in the Aetherwave industry. Halcyon Helen was never one person. I shared this role with my twin sister, Belinda.
That must have been her sister in the ballroom. I can't imagine what she's going through right now.
Two people inhabiting the same life. Existentially challenging, philosophically speaking. My condolences. Must feel like you literally lost part of yourself.
Belinda and I were the best kept secret in the business. Nobody could tell us apart. And certainly not a peevish, petty, miserable little worm like Quentin Ludovico. So when I discovered the truth, when I realized what Ludovico was about to unleash on this colony, Belinda paid the price. So am I. I'm sorry I wasn't there for her. I'm sorry I couldn't protect her. Killing the Administrator won't bring her back, but it'll feel good.
I have no regrets. I did exactly what I had to do. I'd do it again. If it means defending Halcyon's future, I'd do it in a heartbeat.
Tell the truth, Ludovico. There's nothing safe about Spectrum Brown. You want to infest this entire colony with those disgusting parasites.
They're not parasites. These creatures are symbiotic life forms. They belong to the highest order of life form, capable of living in perfect harmony with humanity. The symbiotes evoke a feeling of joy in their host, a bliss so pure, so profound as to render the most exquisite recreational substance obsolete. Oh, don't you see, Inspector? I want to bring joy back to Halcyon. I want this colony to smile again. A host only turns violent if they're carrying too many symbiotes, or if they see you as a threat. In its natural state, the relationship between symbiote and host is perfectly harmless. Listen to me. I never wanted to take a life, but I had no choice. I couldn't let anyone destroy this colony's only chance at real happiness. But what about Helen? What about all the innocent people she's killed?
No one I crossed off was innocent. The mascot was a spy working for Ludovico. He was ordered to keep an eye on Belinda and I, and report back to his master.
You're being paranoid. I barely knew the fellow.
Don't try to deny it. Anywhere Belinda and I went, that mascot was there, just watching us with those cold, dead eyes. That doesn't surprise me at all. He was on Ludovico's side, just like the others. Dr. Leora Blossom, Maria Keene, that flackwit of a mascot? They were standing between me and Ludovico, so I did what I had to do. I went through them. She was on Ludovico's side. When she realized I was alive, she refused to stay silent. I gave Maria a chance. I told her about Belinda. I asked for her help, but she turned me down. She was honor-bound to report me to Ludovico. Maria had a duty to her company, and I had a duty to Belinda. We both did what we had to. But in the end, I was the faster shot. Have you met Dr. Blossom? She was practically a reptile. A cold-blooded psychopath who toyed with human lives in the name of scientific advancement. Leora Blossom wasn't a person. She was a weapon in Ludovico's arsenal. You call it murder? I call it disarming my enemy. You know what you need to do. Help me avenge Belinda. Help me put a stop to this.
Don't listen to her. Listen to me. Throw in with Helen and you destroy Halcyon's only chance at real happiness. Think of the future, Inspector. A lifetime of bliss and joy for every colonist in Halcyon. We can make that happen.
You want me to explain my grand plan in the middle of a climactic moment like some two-bit serial villain? Do I look like Spencer Woolrich to you? We've talked enough. You're either with me, or you're with the Administrator.
Wow. I can't believe we're running with Halcyon Helen!
We don't have a lot of time. We need to get out of here.
Not so fast. I've sealed the bulkhead doors. You're staying right where you are. I'm sorry to do this to you, Inspector. Truly I am. If it's any consolation, Helen has brought some remarkably powerful explosives. Your death should be instantaneous. Goodbye, Inspector. Helen, we won't meet again.
Damn it. He sealed us in, but I think I know another way out. Follow me and stay close.
It's true that losing her sister drove Ruth to take some extreme measures, but I believe siding with her is the right thing to do.
I'm glad Miss Helen's alive, but she's hurting on the inside, Captain. Anyone with eyes can see that. I don't know if anybody's told you this, but you got a real gift for inspiring people. When all of this is over, I think Helen might need your help.
Head through that door. There's another way out. There. I've opened that door. Looks like he sealed the door. Try throwing that switch down there. That should get us through. Next one. We're close to the exit. We made it. Nice work, Inspector. We may have put a stop to Ludovico's operations, but he's still at large. He's probably gone into hiding, so we're going to root him out. This entire complex has been exposed to those parasites. Law only knows how many they've infected. Most of them won't even know they're carrying a parasite inside of them. If they're showing symptoms, it's probably already too late. Boundless energy, insufferable joy, an almost saccharine attitude of optimism. Then just like that, parasites bursting out of their bodies, fat and wriggling with vital energy. You're a step ahead of me, Inspector. An airborne pesticide of some kind. I think you may be onto something. Let's meet back at your penthouse. We'll ready our next move. Not here. In private, back at the penthouse. Also, I rather like the ambiance there. See you soon, Inspector.
It's strange. When you walk through that door, I half expected to see Belinda. Belinda and I practically shared a life. Losing her feels like losing a limb. She's conspicuous by her absence. I appreciate the sympathy, Inspector. Thank you. I'll appreciate your help even more. We shut down Ludovico's distillation plant, but he's not gonna sit idly by. If he can't use Spectrum Brown to infect the colony, he'll resort to some kind of backup plan. I stole this formula from Dr. Blossom, a failed prototype of Spectrum Brown. Look at this. The prototype had the opposite effect, and actually made you immune to the parasites. Precisely. I see we're in your wheelhouse, Inspector. Or do you prefer Doctor? We're going to need 2 ingredients. A sample of essence of Sprat, and 1 intact pod of parasite eggs. Cedric's warehouse in the Piraeus spaceport almost certainly carries a batch of Sprat essence. As for the pod, I'd check the Wilderness Reserve if I were you. You're a scientist and an inspector? You really are full of surprises. I borrowed a centrifuge from the research lab. Used the ingredients to synthesize an antiparasitic. I'm glad I could count on your expertise. Once you're finished, head to the pilot house. We'll hijack the control system and disperse the cure into the atmosphere. That should kill off most of the parasites. Are you worried I'm gonna shoot you in the back? You're right. You do deserve the spotlight. Here. You take good care of my Needler, and it'll take good care of you. There is one other thing. While you're at Piraeus Spaceport, have a word with Cedric Kincannon. I know Cedric. There's nothing he wants more than a chance to eliminate Ludovico. We could use him on our side. Best of luck, Inspector. I'm counting on you. I'm not accustomed to talking about Belinda, but I'm also not accustomed to the kind of sympathy you showed me earlier. So I'll make an exception for you. Belinda and I shared the role of Helen, but she was also the only person who knew the real me. To the rest of the colony, I'm Halcyon Helen. But to my sister, I was just Ruth. I could be myself around Belinda, and she could be herself around me. She was my only sister, but she was also my only friend. Parents, naturally. An agent, a couple of directors. None of them had any reason to reveal the truth. To them, Helen was a brand. Revealing our secret meant damaging that brand. Damaging that brand meant losing money. Nobody in this colony wants to lose money. Belinda and I saw Helen as an act of theatric sleight of hand. We enjoyed the deception, the challenge. We wanted to see how far we could go. And if I hadn't underestimated Ludovico, you and I probably wouldn't be talking about Belinda in the past tense. We wouldn't be talking about her at all. It should have been me in that ballroom. Belinda died because I was careless. Never mind that. If you've got something else to ask me, now's the time. No. Belinda enjoyed the secrecy. She could slip into the role of Halcyon Helen, attend social events on my behalf, perform a few stunts, deliver a few lines. And then, when she grew tired of all the people and all the attention, all she had to do was slip out of the role and be my sister again. She was the secret twin. She had a comfortable life in the shadows, an easier life. I made sure of that. What I want is my sister back, but I'll settle for killing Ludovico. I'm glad I could satisfy your curiosity. It's a long story, Inspector. It was supposed to be just another marketing job. Rizzo's wanted Halcyon Helen to be the face of Spectrum Brown. Some hideous concoction served with a dead parasite. All we had to do was spend a few weeks on Eridanos, shake some hands, sign a few autographs, drink a bottle of Spectrum Brown in front of a camera, and try to smile. Belinda didn't want to go, but I wanted a change of scenery. In any case, we couldn't possibly say no. Belinda and I are Halcyon Helen. Halcyon Helen is a creative property owned by whatever company sponsors our latest picture. Rizzo's finance the majority of Terror on Monarch, which means they currently own 51% of Halcyon Helen. We were required by law to take the job. Belinda always hated endorsement deals. They felt cheap to her, inauthentic. She always believed her first priority was to our fans, and not the company that bought us out. Nothing. She took the job when I did. Belinda was an idealist, and her ideals died with her. Belinda and I arrived on Eridanos and played our usual game of trading places. We were practically flawless. Even Ludovico didn't know about us. Belinda was unhappy for the first few days, but then she met Bertie Holcomb. Bertie treated her like a human being and not just an Aetherwave icon. They were just about perfect. Bertie has a dreadful temper. I was worried about Belinda for a while, but she told me he'd never lay a finger on her, and I took her at her word. Bertie wasn't the person I should have kept an eye on. It was Ludovico. I had a feeling Ludovico was hiding something. Belinda stayed busy socializing with the celebrities around the complex. That gave me some time to do a little digging. The Purpleberry Orchards was the heart of Ludovico's operations. I knew I'd find some answers in the R&D lab. I saw everything. The test subjects, the parasites. Spectrum Brown was never safe to drink. Those harmless, dead parasites at the bottom of every bottle. They were just dormant. They would have sold out in a month. This colony loves novelty. They'll eat up any new product we toss their way. A new cereal, a new Spectrum flavor. Ludovico knows that. From Emerald Vale to Byzantium, a parasite in every brain and a grin on every face. Every last one of us trapped behind a mask of joy. That's what Ludovico wants. I was careless. I was risking Belinda's life every step of the way, and I never even realized. I wish it were that easy. Still, thank you. Was there something else you wanted to talk about? Yes, Inspector. I did. Leora Blossom and Maria Keene were on Ludovico's side. They chose to stand between me and my sister's killer. I had to cross them off. Would you believe me if I said I gave the constable a chance? I spoke to her in her office, I told her everything. Belinda, Ludovico, the parasites, all of it. Maria said I was guilty of corporate sabotage, and that she had a duty to report me. She told me how sorry she was, and I told her the same thing. And then I shot her. Maria was defending my sister's killer. If someone murdered one of your crew in cold blood, what would you do? I can't quite figure you out. You've been sympathetic about Belinda's murder, but condemn me for avenging her. It doesn't matter. I don't have anything to prove to you. Was there anything else you wanted, or shall we move on? You don't know how many times I relived this moment in my mind. I discovered what Ludovico was up to when I toured the orchards. I threatened to expose his plan. Ludovico decided to eliminate me. He programmed Burbage 3001 to fire on his command and disabled the security cameras in the ballroom. Only, he didn't know about Belinda. I'm sure he thought it was my skull he caved in with a bottle of Spectrum Brown. Burbage covered his blow with the plasma shot, and then Ludovico wiped his memory. I don't think he expected you to be so competent. In the end, hiring you may have been his undoing. I went after Leora Blossom, and you were just one step behind me. I programmed an automech to steal some explosives from Cedric, but you weren't far behind. You were always hot on my heels, one step behind and catching up. I realized I'd have to throw in with you or eliminate you. Yes, this is mine. I'd kept notes on everything I suspected, everything I'd discovered. It's all here, all in code. Belinda and we had a secret way of communicating. Words and phrases that had a special meaning to us. Numbers and dates that were only important to the two of us. Only 2 people in the universe knew that language. That's gracious of you. I know you think I'm a cold-hearted murderer, so I'm a little surprised. Hello, Inspector. What can I do for you?
Law, how'd you get in here alive? You are alive, yeah? And not one of them? No, you look clean. Good. You'd better get inside with the others.
Inspector, you made it. Well done. I'm afraid you may find the spaceport is, at the moment, less hospitable than usual. My apologies. Regardless, you must have some purpose here. Do tell. Whew, whatever it was, it happened quickly. Like a wave sweeping across the shore. We were overrun. Survivors are still trickling in. We've put out a call to slug agents not at the docks to keep their distance. With the warehouse's stores, Slug could hold out here for weeks, easily. Possibly months. Oh, my. You mean Lou was up to no good this whole time? It's an ambitious plan, I'll give him that. But tell me, why should I help you, Inspector? Always best to make sure a man has a better nature before you appeal to it. All right, but you're not to take this as confirmation I have one. Understood? You can expect Slug support. I'll arrange for my agents to meet you at the distillation station. There are slugs in the Spectrum Brown bottles, Inspector. I am operating on the theory that this is, perhaps, Not good. As thrilled as I am to assist you in taking down Lou, we have barricaded ourselves in here for a reason. I imagine you have a plan for getting out of the spaceport safely? Are you really? Inspector, you are a marvel. Excellent work. I'll admit, I'm awfully fond of my agents. To see them restored will be a great weight off my soul. Thank you. With Helen, you don't say. You flatter me, but no, of course not. Knowing implies certainty. I merely suspected. This anti-parasitic, it would restore my people to their original, non-infected selves? Safely? Well, I'll take my people's probable cure over their guaranteed death. Coincidentally enough, Slug can supply you with Essence of Sprat. Ella Tinsley, the warehouse foreman, you remember her? There's a package on the desk in her office. You'll find the Essence of Sprat you need in there. You're right. I don't. Now then, is there anything else I can do for you while you're here? Coincidentally enough, Ella Tinsley... Oh, I wouldn't like to say. A customer-supplier confidentiality and all that. Now then, is there anything else I can do for you while you're here?
Hey, Inspector! You're alive! That's terrific! Can't complain. Still slug-free. That is, I'm still slug, obviously, but I haven't been slugged. You know what I mean. You need... what? Why? No kidding. I should have known you'd be on top of things. That must be what's on my desk. We just got it in. Couldn't find it on any of our shipping orders, and none of us could figure out what in law's name it was. You're welcome to it. Just so you know, it's got a bit of a weird smell. You too, Inspector.
Essence of Sprat? Why would anybody keep a vial of... Never mind, I don't want to know.
Greeting protocols suspended. All non-essential protocols suspended. Phaeton is standing by for larval compound dispersal. Reactor stable. Compound dispersal may commence. Affirmative. Dispersing. Incoming message from Rizzo's distillation station.
What have you done? What in law's name have you done? You hijacked our atmosphere. Are you trying to kill us all? No. You're trying to kill my symbiotes. I'm not going to let you destroy everything I've built. I can still fix this. I can undo the damage you've done.
End of transmission.
Yes, I know you're hungry. Be patient. I'll feed you soon enough.
Just a guest. The one I told you about. The inspector. Welcome. We were just talking about you. You and I are standing in the presence of royalty. Don't worry, you'll meet her soon enough. I know what you've done. Hijacked Phaeton. Contaminated the air we breathe with your poison. You think you've saved this colony? All you've done is robbed Halcyon of its last chance at real happiness. And you've angered my queen. I beg your pardon. No, it's too late. You've spoiled the moment. Here's what's going to happen. I'm going to feed you to the Queen, and then I'm going to find a way to repair the damage you've done. Don't be afraid. She can smell fear, and it makes her absolutely ravenous. Your Highness! Dinner is served. Wait, no, not me. Them! Merciful law! Stop!
Mr. Ludovico, sir?
Here goes nothing!
I'll take your confession now!
You made it. I guess happy customers really are repeat customers. Here, I had something I wanted to give you. This is a golden ticket, good for one free tour of the Purpleberry Orchards. This is my way of showing you that I appreciate you just for being alive.
I must have dreamed up 100 different ways to kill Ludovico. I'll be honest, eaten alive by the Queen of the Brain Slugs wasn't on that list. Is that so strange? I imagine this moment would be a little more cathartic. But Belinda's still gone, and I don't feel all that different. I know. You're right. I can't go back to the way things were. I can't return to my old life because it was never my life to begin with. It was shared. Never mind, you don't need to listen to this. Thank you again for your help, Captain. I never would have made it this far without you.
It all worked out in the end, wouldn't you say, Inspector? It all worked out in the end, wouldn't you say, Inspector?
Welcome back, Captain. Or shall I call you Inspector? What can I do for you? During your absence, I passed the time by simulating a number of hypothetical conclusions to this case. Unfortunately, my understanding of the facts is limited, and my appraisal of the individuals involved is not flattering. Therefore, my conclusions are inaccurate. My simulations have yielded several possible causes of death. Halcyon Helen may have been killed by one or all of the following: asphyxiating on Rizzo's Spectrum Brown, grappling with a primal while inebriated, killed by an overzealous fan, death by automechanical, or profound loneliness. How close were my estimations? Please do so. Administrator Ludovico killed Halcyon Helen? I have been programmed to simulate contempt and mild surprise. Mr. Ludovico had the audacity to hire you to solve a murder he committed? I am contemptuous and mildly surprised. This information is valuable to me. I will update my behavior simulation protocol accordingly. Thank you, Captain. How can I be of assistance? Take care. I require a functioning captain to run the ship.